What is up, kids? Hello, welcome to Metal Monday. How is everybody?
That was weird. That's weird.
All right, we're good. How is everybody on a Monday evening? No Satan. We do have a little Baphomet up here and a little hellscape in the background. And that's all for Randomoid. Come on up, man, Randomoid. Dude, I'm only dealt what epidemic sound gives me in a heavy metal category. I know it's blasphemy. I mean, I always hope that you never hear those intros, but I do stretch out and try to do something. I quit doing Ronnie James Dio because I knew that made you cringe. So feel free to send me some tracks, dude. I'll set up because I'm in your profile. I noticed the background disappeared, the one that you had up there. But if you'll send me some songs, dude, I'll load them up and I will rock it, or you can rock it when you're in here. Jump in anytime, my friend. So what we'll see up here tonight, which is kind of interesting, I wanted to share. Nobody watches my disassembly videos. I don't blame you guys because they are kind of dull unless you're taking a knife apart. But I had picked up some thick washers from Skiff Workshops, which are really high-end washers. They're about $12, but they're high-end phosphorus bronze washers that are thick, designed to replace those instances where you've got a bearing knife, but you want it to have tolerances, you know, because of the work environment, like a Strider or like a Spartan Harsey, or, you know, some of those other washer type knives. So the one I'd heard a lot of good things about was the McNeese. So I've got my McNeese Mac 2 3.5, which is one of my favorite USA knives. And I had it on Skiff bearings and it just operated, as you might imagine, fantastically. So I put these washers in it that have absolutely no tolerance. I mean, they are perfectly fit to this knife. And I'm just here to tell you guys, it's not exactly like a bearing knife, but the side to side is non-existent. And I use some Slick-O-Mall, some grease, probably too much, on my washers. But I was just going to do it as an experiment to see how the washers worked in place of the bearings. But I really, really like it. And I've got a set. These were 3/16 in terms of what the pivot diameter was. So I've also got some 1/4 inch. And I'm thinking about either doing my Microtech stitch or I don't really want to do a hinderer because I've done a lot of them before. Hey, Miranda. Hey, Michael Morgan. I'll say hey to all you guys here in a second. But this was a big surprise. And again, I'm not going to ask you guys to watch the video unless you ever take apart one of these knives because they're super. All right, brutal. I've got a question for you guys. So I want to have a celebratory sound when somebody shows their membership or does anything, right? So we've got a couple of choices. We've got a gong, which is, we know what that leads to. I'll turn that down a little bit. We've got applause. We've got the old air horn, which we've heard through lives. And then we've got this celebration, whatever this is. I don't have a kazoo. We have a bar crowd cheering at like last call. And we've got a music bed. So the celebration, I've got one for celebration. I just want to have something consistent to recognize you guys. I mean, I appreciate each and every one of you, so I should be pushing it all the time, but that's what my explosions are for. When somebody says something stupid or I start going around trolling other channels, we'll be using these. Demonock, are you kidding me? Am I back to not having them work? Well, if the celebration works, that makes it easy. Can y'all hear this one? And then we'll quit talking about this because I know this is driving Raminoid nuts. Can y'all hear that one? Because that'll be our temporary, because I know we can hear the air horn, but that's just so loud. And the gong, can y'all hear this? It's because I don't know how to work at Demonic. I get lost in my technology. You think this is frustrating? You should have tried to play in a band with me when I had an old Digitech GSP 21, and we'd be playing a Neil Young song, and I'd jump into some like octave of phase weirdo effect because I had no idea how to work it. Worked it or work it. I couldn't work it. Well, if I had a place to set my electric guitar, which I don't because I'm kind of in a tight spot, I would rip out a little riff. That would take too much time. I like to just go, thank you guys. I love you all. But I feel like that doesn't give the same type of, I don't think, I want it to be perceived as love. So if I need to buy a bell, which I think is kind of patronizing, and that's just me because I'm really weird that way. I'd much rather just have something like, I really appreciate you. Thank you. Or maybe give you a little, can you hear the music bed? Because I love this tune. Mimo, I can upload all kinds of Garcia solos, but then my partner, Pocket Metal, I've got to take into consideration what makes his ears bleed. We can talk about music that we have differing opinions to, but I don't want to make his ears bleed. And to him, the dead sounds like fish sounds to me a lot of times. Jerry does live. I don't know if y'all saw my story on Instagram today, but I came across a clip of Jerry in the studio for Touch of Grey, and he's waiting for the rest of the guys there, and he's got his mini moog on, and he's playing the Addams Family intro. Here, I'm going to show it to you guys. I'll probably get copyright struck, but it's worth it. Hold on a second. Let me find it. Where my story is. All right. See, I think it's got me like logged in under my other account. And when I go to switch, it says I'm there, but it doesn't show my story. So that's kind of odd. So let's do this. Watch this. And I know y'all aren't watching anything yet because I'm finding it behind the scenes. And then we'll get back into knives. We'll talk about Blade Show. We will talk about some really, really cool knives I saw. We will talk about what I felt was, and this is just me. I was only there for a day, so people will have a lot different opinions. But to me, the attendance seemed a little bit lower, and there seemed to be more knives like hinderers and knives that I usually see on Saturday, pretty well picked through, where you can buy clips or filler tabs or scales or a couple of knives. But they seem to have a really, really large offering on Saturday. So I know a lot of the customs that they brought were gone, and I get it. But I think it was a great show if you had cash, which I didn't. But if you were there to buy some knives, I think it was probably really set up for people who wanted to buy knives, because I think there were a lot of knives to be bought. Now, Strider was absolutely wiped out. Demco had some knives on Saturday, some USA made knives. Let's go Adams. And guys, this is my this is the hyper focus side of my ADHD, and I do apologize for it. But I thought I had it in a message, but I guess I didn't send it to anybody. I put it in my story, but where's my freaking stories? They're usually right up here at the very top, which is odd. See if I scroll, if I can see John Evans' story, because I think it has me as another user. So maybe if I type in, bear with me for 2 seconds, kids, and then I promise we'll be out of here forever. And y'all are all probably dropping like flies, and I'm not even watching. That's me. I apologize. You know, I ad lib these things to some extent. It would be called impromptu live streaming. By the way, did any of y'all have a chance to jump into MPG EDC's maiden stream last night? I thought she did a fantastic job. I think she had over 60 people in there at one time. She just, I mean, her and her husband are naturals. So Sunday nights, hopefully they'll do it on a regular basis, but Sunday nights is definitely a great place to be. And I'll be in there hanging out because a lot of people showed up, showed their love, and it was a lot of fun. So well done, MPG EDC. Keep it up. Don't be hard on yourself. If I ever go back, which I never go back and watch my lives unless I'm called out for saying something stupid, which I do all the time, but I don't do it out of spite. I do it out of ignorance and just having to fill a lot of time with talking. I'll always say something, and it's usually about heat treat or it's about spine whacking, things that I think are subjective to a point that everybody has an opinion on. For example, my opinion is if you're hard up on spine whacking a knife, spine whack a fixed blade. I think that's the best way to go about it. And then if you're going to spine whack a knife, spine whack it like you would hold it. For example, if it's a frame lock, you wouldn't really want to spine whack it like that because anytime you hold a frame lock, you're holding it by the handle, which increases the tension in that lock bar. So I've seen several videos where people could get a knife to fail by tapping it and shaking it out because it is a lock bar that's pretty much a precision fit. And it's not really good for the lock bar face. But when they hold it, they didn't even have metal gloves on, but they would whack it with a 2x4 while holding the lock. And that really keeps it from jumping out of track. Now, liner locks are a totally different story. Plunge locks are a totally different story. But if you grew up like I did with slip joints and bucks, which bucks were very safe, right? But we still knew. I mean, I knew as a 9-year-old kid, I had a little case, leather wrapped fixed blade that I carried vertically on my hip when I hunted and did stuff. And my dad always told me a locking folding knife is just that, it's a folding knife. So that's why you have a little hunting fixed blade. That's why we have larger fixed blades. Choose the right tool for the job. And I know it's not always convenient to have a fixed blade, but I'm a little guy who lives in the city and I carry a fixed blade every day. Today I carried a big fixed blade. I carried this knife, which is the Vero Axon EDC fixed blade, which is fantastic. I've got it right now as a side pocket carry or a back pocket carry. But I've got the straps that I use for it because I'll also wear it on my back quite a bit. It's just a very thin knife. And I also had in my primary carry was my liner lock Axon. So these guys aren't very pointy and pokey, but they are super, for me, opening boxes, cutting cord, cutting through whatever I need to cut through, duct tape, you name it. They are super slicey, super functional knives, and I love the fixed blade because it's also OEM by Best Tech, but it's a little bit thinner than the folding Axon. Great knives. I enjoyed carrying them today. I haven't carried them together in a long time, but this for me is on the large size of an EDC fixed blade. What I saw at Blade Show that I hoped I would not fall in love with. But you see, hey, can I send you a link, NPC EDC? Would you jump up here with me and join? I'll send you a link just in case. But what I saw that I was hoping I wasn't going to fall in love with, but I did, was the Jack Wolf Midnight EDC Fixie. Have y'all seen that? It is done so well. It to me is what I would call a perfect, pretty much a perfect rendition of a little fixed blade. It has a great finger choil, really slicey, worn cliffy, sheep's footy blade. MPG. And I know it's under Meredith. Hold on. There. So you know what I think's happening here? MPG, throw me up your Instagram name, only because I think it's pulling from my personal account. And I haven't used that account since I started posting knives, because all my normal friends thought I was losing my mind, which I was, as I fell into the knife hole. But to segment myself from that type of grief, Chris229, welcome. I have not said hi to everybody yet, and I apologize. Michael Upchurch, channel members both, I appreciate you guys so much. As a matter of fact, that's one thing I wanted to share tonight. I thought I was going to give away the Veritas this month, but I'm going to do a couple of giveaways this month for members, and I'll do other giveaways too. But the one that I'm going to give away Friday night, and I'll put a video up on it, it is a really unique knife. This is, some call it a Migaron. It's actually an AM8, but it is a front flipper. My hands have beard oil on them, so they're slick. And it's also got a finger flick, which I'm just horribly failing because I've got slimy hands. I'll flip it for you guys in a little while. But it's got titanium bolsters, shred carbon fiber handles. It's got an M390 blade, and it is an absolute, Miranda, they are awesome. And some people, you know, I picked up the titanium, which I rarely like, and I don't think I'd get that one, but the weight was nice. I'm definitely not crazy about the Ultim, but I really like the Abalone, and that's not my jam at all. So guys, this is going to be the member giveaway Friday night, and this will make somebody a great knife. It's a full-size knife. Again, quality materials. Migaron is the parent company. AM8 is what they made the Gladiator under, the several versions of flicks, and this is the Gen 1, which only has the flipper hole on the reverse side. But that'll be coming up. And the Veritas will also come up. I've just got to film, and I should have that done this week. I'm trying to film my final case. I've done my slip joints. I've done 3 of my 4 cases in my collection dive, and those will all be in playlists. If you all are ever interested, I would be bored to tears, and they're not getting views, and I don't get it. MPG, how do I find you on, drop your IG in the, that's why you're a mod. That's why I make everybody a mod. Drop me your IG so I can find your message, because I'm in my weird attached Facebook account. So I don't have all my knife buddies in there where it auto populates when I'm in my knife sub account, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's a great knife. And I just want to film that final box, which is box 4. And I'll do 4 videos just to break it out. So they're 20, 30 minutes. I don't want them to be long, drawn out videos, because I think 8 or 9 knives is way too many. And I try to run through them quickly. But there's some interesting ones in this last box, because it's kind of been the overflow box. And it's not brutal. Did it have, sometimes YouTube will hold comments. And there's a way, if I was in the YouTube app, that I could check them. Let me check something and release them. I don't know why that is. Let's go live chat. And I don't know if y'all saw the comment that I had pinned. Okay, I got you right here. I don't know if y'all saw the comment I had pinned, but follow message. But the comment I have pinned is a buddy by the name of Anthony. Tony Boombots is what you guys know him as. And I met him and spent some time with him at Blade Show. He's one of the few guys that I bumped into and got to spend 15 minutes walking around with, which doesn't seem like a long time, but if you're there for a day, it really is kind of a long time. Now why didn't you go right to your messages? That was kind of weird. Let's see what happens here. Hold on a second. You go back to your link and let me click it. Let me go to my. Sorry, guys. All right, message. Paste. You should have a link. And I'm not even going to say your name because this looks like a personal account. But you should have a link in there now, sweetie, if you want to jump in or you guys want to jump in. Jim Miller, welcome. And don't worry about your language, buddy. As long as I don't say nasty language in the first little while, because my streams have gotten demonetized and I always do the manual appeal. And every single time except Off the Edge, I think it was, or maybe it was one of the most recent ones I did. Might have been Friday Night Flicks. I had the little non-monetizable deal, and I appealed it. And after like 3 days, they held up the appeal, and they said that I talked about there was language issues, and there was a statement about that I evidently made about RUSSHIA and UKRINE. And there's certain things that are really weird, which we can all complain about it, but we play in YouTube, in Google, in Amazon, all these platforms that we find to be beneficial in some way, even though we all know that they're really all kind of bad. We utilize them, but they're private entities. So those things that we're used to, like being able to talk about stuff, that's why you've got these degenerate streaming services pop off like Rumble and Kick. And it shows a whole nother side of society where if you give someone the freedom to do what a lot of us want to do, which is just talk about basic things that are covered under the Constitution, people will take and push that to degeneracy just to get the clicks and to get the clout. It's really an addictive, thick deal. The 80-10 in Thai looks cool. I need to go grab a knife for you, Mersalt, because I've got the 80-15 in Thai, and it comes with bearing channels. It comes with skiff bearings and washers, so you can fix it up on bearings. Y'all sit tight for 2 seconds. I will be right back. I'm going to leave you with entertainment. And for those of you who haven't been here the last few lives, probably within the next 30 minutes, we'll have a little break and we'll break free for our juvenile possum cam. I've got a young possum that comes up and eats cat food and drinks water that I've been feeding. And he's really cool. But this is the 80-15. it was the black on black, and I sent it to Brother Satu for a hologrind. So this is a super, super slicey 8015. Still got a blunt point, but it's a wonderful hologrind. And instead of having washers, it's now on skiff bearings, double row skiffs, and washers that sit into those titanium handles. The only thing that I would see as an improvable feature for these scales would be if they had a little bit more. Are you ready? Can you hear me, MPG? Can you hear me, girl?
Yeah, I can.
I was trying to give you a thumbs up because I never know if people are ready when they jump in.
Yeah.
But this guy's has turned this knife into an absolute drop shut beast. And I never used to carry it, but I do wish the handles, even though they've got really good, and I'll move this so you've got more room, Meredith, but even though they've got texturing there, it's kind of
Yeah.
smooth. And I know when Knife Dope did his, he got a different pattern. And that's something that I've noticed about OG scales is they're a little smoother than like the Applied Weapon Tech that have that real chalky, nice feeling. And I saw yours, and I also
yeah.
saw your mini Adamas. And you're not like me because I hate speed holes. So those
Oh,
are
I don't. Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Weapon Tech scales for the Adamas. This is the mini Adamas with the Applied
Okay.
Weapon Tech aluminum scales in the Sniper Gray, which really match the Adamas great. So it doesn't even have the same profile, but it's very, very comfortable.
Oh,
But if you
yeah.
looked at that, you wouldn't necessarily think it was an Adamas unless you looked at that blade. But the action is
Yeah.
great. And Applied Weapon Technology does a great job with scales. And another company that I really like, because I love OG too, but don't underestimate Rock Scale Designs, because Rock Scale Designs, what they did for me is they made this Mannix 2 that I really had a hard time with because I'm an urban EDC guy and I didn't like the real jimpy liners. You know how they've got the jimping around the liners because it's a working knife. But
Yeah.
these scales are linerless. So it turns it
Yeah.
into a truly smooth EDC knife, thins it up, and the action's outstanding. I put Justin's spring adjustment in there that
Oh,
has a
that's
lighter
good.
spring.
Yeah. Well, like for me, so that mini Adamas is actually my husband's. It's Tony's. And he got, so last year they had leftover mini Adamas Blade Show Texas Red Micarta leftovers.
Right.
And he literally jumped on it. And then my father-in-law wanted to get it because he likes to copy his own son. Couldn't even get it. Or I think he did. I don't even remember. But it was either one. If I remember correctly, they ran out and he couldn't get it. They
That
went so.
color is very rare.
It's a beauty. It's so dark. I don't know if you guys could tell on that knife though, but it was so freaking dark in person that it looks like it's a dried blood red.
And see, all my Carta in my hand, because I like to help them out with a little wicked wax. Like all of them start out as OD green or natural, and they turn out black. So anything that I've got that's red turns burgundy in no time. And I had for a while one of those old bacon pattern Octobers from Kaiser, and it would absolutely get blood red. And I gave that away to Dark Gravity. But yeah, it's one of those things that I love my Carta. I love the weight of it. I love the feel of it. But once you get that titanium kind of, you get that weight difference. If you like a little heavier knife, you like to add an ounce or so to it. I'm just a huge fan. And I think it just changes because I look at where I started, which was QSPs, CJRBs, CRKTs, Civivis. Then I discovered
Yeah.
Kaisers and bought tons of Vanguards at
Oh my
night
God.
because I would only shop the on sale section. So I would see an $84 list knife. I knew nothing about knives, but it was on sale for 64. So I would buy
Dude.
2 or 3
Yeah.
of those every week, right? And then Dark Gravity told me, if you want to get nicer knives, just withhold on 8 or 9 of those budget knives
Oh
and
yeah.
get something you really want. And it took me a while to get that. And I didn't have a channel at the time. I was just into the hobby, deeply into the hobby because I'm an addict
Well,
and sober
yeah.
for a while, but I have the same principles that I just have no responsibility.
For me and my husband, we like pews and stuff, and also started collecting gems and things, and found out last night that shit hit the fan. We during my live stream, because we live in a basement apartment, and right now I'm charging my phone to be on this live, and they sent us an email or text message, our landlord, saying, "Oh, we're going to be renovating this whole basement, so we're kicking you guys out."
How long do you have? I had that happen 2 years ago because my house got bought and they knocked it down.
We have until the 1st of August, so we have like just over a month.
How long have you been there?
5 years.
It's not a normal now, it's really not because I've had to move a lot, like every 2 or 3 years. Luckily, I've gone through a divorce and I've kinda downsized to where I've got a lot of knife shit. I've got some studio stuff, but things that I can pack up kind of in one go and then a moving truck for some of my furniture, but I don't have a lot of stuff by design. I kinda weaned down after that. I let my ex have all the stuff that we had acquired because I didn't have the space for it and didn't
Yeah.
want to fool with it, right? So just it'll work out for the better. If you keep an open mind, you guys are
Oh,
positive,
yeah.
you'll find a better place, you'll find a more, it's just all you get used to. At least I do. I'm a creature of habit. So I get used to something, even if it's not as good as something that I could go get. But the thought of having to move to me is so disgusting that I'd much rather stay and just fix up where I am or continue to live here and change it.
Yeah. The sad thing is they didn't raise the rent for a while for us, so we were paying pretty cheap, and then we saved a ton of money, and we were just thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff, and that's gone down the tubes. So it's just
Temporary roadblock. Remember
yeah,
that at your
seriously.
age and even at my age, these are all temporary roadblocks and they happen for a reason because I do believe that there's a lot to be said about karma. And I think that stuff comes around and sometimes it just takes a push to get you to the step that you need to be at. And
Oh
this might be
yeah,
the kind of push.
it's by design, and so it's whatever happens, and that's all that matters. And it's whatever, because we wanted out of this place anyways. So
It's just you want to do it on your terms. That makes more
yeah,
sense. And
yeah, and
we won't talk about politics because we never talk about college football, politics, or religion on this channel. But there's so many things going on with the government and buying properties and turning them into rentals.
oh, dude, are you kidding me? Like, we are so pissed at the investors, my husband and I, because we were looking at houses literally in 2020, and or 2021, excuse me, and shit just hit the fan everywhere, and it was
And
just like
you
it.
couldn't get an offer in that would be taken.
The only one that we could was a townhouse. It was very crappy, and I realized I literally noticed some things that other people don't. This townhouse was actually a condo, and all the garage doors were literally dented because of how short the driveways were.
So they
And
bounce up.
no, the driveways were shorter because the cars were not as big as they are now.
Oh, so they would like hit the back of
Yeah.
and my understanding is, and I won't say the company, but it begins with a B and ends with a rock. buys only single families. They don't buy multifamily units, which a condo, because I'm a real estate agent, I'm a wall warmer. I did that a lifetime ago. But they don't buy multifamily housing because it's not part of the plan of own nothing and be happy.
Well,
We'll
and
quit talking about that because it is political, but it's life, right? I mean, I think it's reality, and I think it's affecting
oh
so much
yeah.
more than we're willing to mention.
Well, it's also hurting those families that actually want to get into a home more so than the ones that don't really care that already have a home.
You're exactly right, and the American dream that we were raised on, and you're younger than me. You're probably my daughter's age. You're a little bit older, but
I'm 33,
okay,
32,
she's
sorry.
24 or 23, so you're a little older than her, but I'm a good bit older, and my parents were the baby boomers, right? So they
Oh
kind of
yeah.
grew up where they could, everything kind of worked out, and they kind of had, and their home is kind of their pride, their joy, their wealth for all practical purposes, right? They've been able to sink that, and they wonder why we don't really, and some people do, but it's not as widespread for people to do that now. I mean,
Yeah.
working the jobs that we worked. I mean, I worked in corporate America for 8 years, making a killer living, and my whole management arm of about 86 people across the country just got let go. We got a
Yeah.
severance, but it's all part of standardization, which is another word you hear in these big companies, which is a euphemism of we are minimizing our human interaction and replacing it with, artificial intelligence where it can be used,
I
which is
hate it. I honestly do. Like what they're I am literally addicted to my phone, and I wasn't before all that crap happened. And I'm trying to lessen it because it's just uh would rather have my son outside like I was, and more than likely you were growing up.
absolutely, till the lights came on. I mean, we'd be out there till the street lights came on, and then we knew we'd be home on our bikes without supervision within 5 or 10 minutes from the street lights coming on because we
Yeah,
respected our parents, and our parents trusted us, and it was all part of not having to worry. I mean, you worried about getting in your neighborhood fights, but that was normal as being a little boy.
yeah.
We didn't worry about, and I had a horrible thing happen in my high school in 1983 that was kind of an unaliving that was started as a hostage situation before any of that stuff ever happened. This is 1983,
Okay.
and several teachers got the classroom out, and then it was a tragic story about a kid who thought he was going to make a bad grade, but and I've got the annual. He was memorialized, his senior picture in the annual, and talked about as a great guy. Where these days he would have been demonized as someone, and this kid had mental issues, right? He'd never made a B. His business teacher was threatening him because he'd had trouble with one of these classes with a bad grade just to try to get him to show his true potential. And it was just tragic. But the point is, the world has kind of slowly been slipping away. And this isn't Knife Talk, so we need to get back to that. But I'm trying to put your link right here for YouTube. So
Oh
anybody, which most everybody's here, but I'm going to scroll it.
yeah, a lot of people are here. Kyle Coonley was pretty funny earlier.
I love Kyle Coonley. He sharpens, allegedly.
Sharpens.
Sharpens knives. He sharpened this little and he sharpens a lot of knives, but he's sharpened a chickadee. I have a little Magna Cut chickadee that's super thick,
Okay.
but this thing is so slicey. This is one of my
Yeah.
favorite fixed blades. I've got 3 of them.
Here, I'll show you. I have like 2 different things. So here's like our little one of our setups. These are my 2 rows. But this is Tony's arcade right here.
Oh, I love that. The arcade is my favorite. I call it the 80 20.6. I think it's everything the 80 20.5 should be. And I spent some time with Andrew Demko in Nashville, and he admitted to me that those are made in Taiwan, right next to the 80/20, because since they were the first company to license the Shark Lock, he wanted to make sure that the quality carried over.
Oh
And I
yeah,
think by using the aluminum bodies and using the thumb studs, it just makes it a really good knife.
yeah. And then here's others. This one has a full Adamas right here.
That's a big knife. I'm surprised how large the mini is.
Like the mini for me is normal, and compared to that, it's like,
You mean normal, like a regular size knife, not like a
yeah,
mini
this is
bug
normal.
out. Yeah, to me, it's a good size knife.
This is just giant.
Right.
Like, it's huge.
But I think that's part of the Siebert design, is they're designed to be hard used, right? So the mini for me is perfect. And I'm telling you, those advanced weapon technology scales really changed the way I felt about it. And it wasn't as much the holes, it was the weight, it was everything, because it was a little blade heavy.
You
It
can't
was just, I didn't carry it as much. But since I got these scales, and I think I got a Benchmade deep carry clip, which I don't know if they came with the Benchmade deep carry clip, but I picked up
Yeah.
a $18 one from Benchmade if they didn't. Is that a ProTech? What is that?
No, this is the Kershaw live
Oh,
wire.
the live wire. That I hear that's the best OTF you can get.
Oh my gosh. So this is my husband's, and it says pig sticker on it.
It looks like a pig sticker. Is it a 4-inch blade?
I think so. I think it is a 4-inch. It looks like one. And then they just came out with the Tonto version that I showed on my live stream yesterday. And that was awesome.
And they're MagnaCut now, right?
They're straight up MagnaCut. They don't have anything else on in their steel or as a steel for their lineup. They've wanted to stay with MagnaCut because that's a pretty good knife steel. Besides an actual CPM, there's CPM D2 that's pretty good, especially if it's done correctly on heat treat. Right. And then, but D2 gets a whole bunch of crap on them. And
because people don't know the difference in CPM D2 and D2 that they've heard about when they were first getting into knives. A lot of people miss the characteristics of how long D2's been used successfully, right?
Well, so, if you look at some other YouTubers that have done steel and really tested them, the cheaper Chinesium people that don't heat treat it correctly and people buy it are like, oh, it's really crappy, I don't want it. But right. If it's done correctly, it's really good.
I agree. And I'm one of those people that the two things that I don't focus as much on, just because I don't cut as much, but I do like to sharpen, so I do appreciate HRC, is I know that some companies are really comfortable with MagnaCut, like Kershaw. They found the recipe. And I know others who I talk to in depth as a person, like Rick Hinderer, why he doesn't prefer MagnaCut, why he's had issues with it. And I've heard the same things from Greg Medford. I've heard, and again, it's what they're comfortable with and what their mass customers, their mass customer base, the collectors, are happy with, right? So if they go and change to appeal to really a small group of people like us, they're wanting them to push, because what I learned just from reading the little bit of Knife Nerds that I could read, because I'm an English psychology major, I have no engineering capabilities whatsoever.
That's my husband. He majored in engineering, mechanical engineering, and he likes
Don't you give up a characteristic, like when you get better edge retention? And I know MagnaCut's supposed to keep the highest rate of all three, like your strength, your edge retention, and your stainlessness. MagnaCut, I think, rates highly when heat treated right.
It's pretty good for there. So if people go on to knifesteelnerds.com,
yeah, Larry's site,
it literally shows you, and I was Tony sent it to me via text and stuff, and I was like looking at it, just reading through and looking at the different knife steels, because I am super new at this stuff, and
Me too.
I don't know anything, but he loves the metallurgy stuff that all these guys do, and it's actually really interesting to see the different things that they've tested for edge retention. What else? The cobalt for having less rust,
Yeah.
and then there's toughness and stuff, and it's really interesting. Yes, Kyle Kunle, you are a steel nerd. I think everybody's a steel nerd in here. And then, but also they've also shown that S90 and S45 different, what they do differently, and then there's like this other metal that I didn't even know about. I'm like, what? And it said it was a higher.
Terravantium or dendritic cobalt?
No, it was
Yeah.
just a steel, the knife steel, and I can't remember what it was because
Do you remember who the maker was?
No, it on knifesteelnerds.com they just had the really good one, all the different types of steel, and one of the steels was actually really good, but I don't know if it was tested or anything in regular any knives right now, because I've never even heard of it, and so
Venatus or something weird like that?
no,
It could have been anything, yeah.
I'll have to like really look at it, because
Miranda, I agree. Vanex and Elmax are kind of my favorites, but I'm not the right guy. I'm not a Stasa. I'm not a Jared who cuts a lot of different things. I will go cut down tons of Amazon packages, but I've got knives with the right geometry and the right steel, because if you've got the right geometry, your steel will kind of do it for you. And then again, I've got a TS Prof, so I don't mind occasionally shopping or sharpening if I need to. And I rarely do. I just I agree, Kyle. And you guys, you and Jared, the people that feel the steel on the stones, probably get better feedback than people who punch it with an HRC tester. Because I do think HRC is one of those variables that is open to interpretation based on the need case of whatever the manufacturer's intention for the knife was. So, it's one of those things that I think you just gotta. Yeah, that's okay. Well, I do it all the time. I'll bounce out and I'll either have nobody in here and people will be like, he's gone, and I'll have to figure out how to come back in. I've
I'm
had my
like,
computer just shut down and the live will luckily stay on.
oh man, dude, I was like, why did I hit the back button? No. And then I canceled out the
But I totally get Kyle and Shane's points that if we're being sold a product that is supposed to be superior, I don't know if it's necessarily the company's being misleading or the company's going by the data sheets. And they don't know, because evidently there's a lot of variables if you're into heat treating, depending on the size of the number of blades you're doing, the consistency that you can keep your oven to hit the numbers consistently that
yeah.
the cases say you need to hit.
Oh yeah. So okay, I'm on the Knife Steel Nerds website.
You can share it.
Oh, I can.
You hit the present button if you want to.
Oh, it's on my tablet.
Okay.
Because I am. Okay, that's K390 though. That's not it. Oh no. I don't even know.
Oh, I think we agree. I think what you're misunderstanding or I'm misrepresenting is when I say a knife's use versus the optimal heat treat.
Yeah.
I had a conversation Saturday with Rick, and I know a lot of people don't like Rick, but I'll tell you a story. I needed a barrel screw for my 3-inch hinderer. It snapped off. It was a flaw, but I could have easily broken it. I called, got somebody at the shop. They got my name, my address. I had 2 barrel screws, not one, exactly what I needed one of within 4 days. I mean, I thanked them at Blade Show, but then I talked to Rick and I asked him about it because that's something that's been in the news, and that's something that I want to be more plugged into. I love it. It's one of my favorite class. I love CTS XHP. Some people don't, but I do. Um, and he said, I've been doing this for a lot of years and I've had a lot of things come, and I know a lot of it's ego. I know a lot of it's they've always done what they've done. And up till recently, they were always selling out. Um, I think the bottom line is if the community reacts by not buying the knives and stays vocal, maybe they'll push it. But what do we really gain? I just don't know because I'm not that much of a cutter. I open Amazon boxes, I cut paracord, I might cut a piece of meat, I might open a cat food bag. I mean, I'm really limited in what I do. I'll cut myself more than I cut materials. Not on
Dude,
purpose.
I used to cut cardboard all the time because I used to be a warehouse worker, and I was a material handler. So what that is, it's shipping and receiving and stuff. So I would deal with all the truckers and
You were
everything.
taking big crates and breaking them down to get the little crates to open them
Yeah.
and keep them out?
Well, and also moving between a couple pounds to over a ton moving.
If
Like,
it's not too much to ask, where did your knife journey start? Did it start with y'all's relationship or did it start with your job? Did you always like knives? Did your
I've liked knives. I've just never been knowing the intricacies of it and stuff, but also not knowing anything about metallurgy and all that stuff. I was
Well,
like,
you have to have an interest, which most people that I communicate with that are, and I'm not trying to be sexist at all, but that are not really involved with the creator, and some that are, they just don't have that interest, which I totally understand. Because for me, I
oh
didn't
yeah.
have it for years, but when I got it, I think we all learned there's a difference in liking a couple of knives and kind of getting into the knife world and what's coming out and wanting to experience different things. And I always think it's so refreshing when like Christine Women Carry Knives or you or someone shows a different perspective that's very valid that hits on points that I would not necessarily notice, but then it makes me look at the knife different. It makes me better at noticing things.
Yeah.
So I just think it's cool that you enjoy it and didn't know where it started to be exciting for you. If it was part of your relationship where y'all kind of joined forces on it and liked it together.
Well, to be honest, we were watching Metal Complex for a long time together and stuff. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
where I
Metal
started.
Complex, dude. And so it was just interesting. And then I forgot how I saw Tri-State or something. So we went to Tri-State. Such a nerdy little guy.
He stayed with me at Blade Show 2022. He and Kara. He's the reason I'm Javon because he couldn't pronounce Jay Evans in the chat. He'd call it Javon's. So it stuck because I was always in his chats. I love
that's hilarious. Yeah, no, and then I got to see all these different knife YouTubers and stuff because one of the live streams he was giving away a knife and he goes, okay, let's go raid this person, let's go raid this person, let's go raid this person. I got to Rob's and then it just was like, oh my gosh. But then realistically I started getting into knives last year. It was like, and the first time I went to Blade Show, we both went to Blade Show. We were just like, dude, there's so many knives, so many material hand stuff. There was even knife sharpening places there too.
Yeah. Well,
it was crazy.
Like Super Day, Satu Dave spent a lot of his Blade Show at a lot of the different workshops they had because he's wanting to get into making knives. So you can take a lot of classes there, if that's what you're into. But it's an awesome. I've only been into it. You're as new as I am. I got into it probably a year after Lefty, so I was like a year into COVID, into lockdown. I'd started
Okay.
buying. I was a consumer, watching everything. You know, then we had a knife live in 2022 where we raised money for knife rights. It was a 24-hour stream where we had different creators, and instead of super chats, we had everybody get a $5 donation to knife rights or to get a $25 membership, and then they were eligible for these huge prize giveaways where a lot of makers came together and made it cool. We were able to do it in 21 and 22. In 23 we put our efforts to a family that was in need, but we want to do it again. But long story short, that's how I decided I had to have a channel, which just was a short channel, so I could go live at 4:00 in the morning because they needed somebody to fill that slot.
Yeah, so Kyle, to answer your thing, I don't even know if I'll win. I can stave off some guys' strength sometimes because yeah. I've wrestled with my dad, and also sprained both my knees and an ankle. So I've been on crutches for like a long time. So I've got some really good upper body strength, but not that great. But
It
Tony
sounds
says
like you grew up with natural training.
yeah,
You would
serious.
crush me in arm wrestling. I was a state ranked mini wrestler for all 4 years in high school. I was a varsity letterman, really, really good. Could have gone to college, but the college I got drafted to, recruited to, dropped their program a year after I got there, which was great because I was also fighting weight every year, like to get
Yeah.
to 98, then 105 my sophomore year, 112. But I was good at that because it was using your own little weight against somebody else's little weight. But arm wrestling and stuff like that, I get crushed. Justin OCD for EDC embarrassed me.
Dude,
I went noodle because I could tell. I mean, he had the power to snap my radius and ulna if he wanted to, because he's just so built for that. You know, he's got the right, like you probably do. You probably know how to put your momentum into it to where you're.
yeah. Josh Branson, you're pretty funny. Yeah. That was hilarious last night. Oh my gosh. Dwayne Johnson eyebrow. Yeah.
I hated I did not get to go to the pit at all.
Oh man, dude, if you ever come out to West, it's awesome. It's only 2 days though because Utah has a thing of having things closed on
That's
Sunday.
all you need. That's all you need if you plan it right.
Well,
It's
yeah, and not just that. It's like give people a rest. Let people have a day off. And that's what I like about Utah. Yeah, it is Mormon whatever, but it's not as much Mormon as you really think. People are hecka nice out here, but um but like it's 2 days of fun,
right.
and it's crazy, just crazy fun. There's a ton of people there, ton of vendors that you can have fun with, but it's like it's something that is fun to do that you don't need 3 days, you just need really 2. But for me and my husband, when we went, it was just a ton, and our son was just like, I want to be held by mommy, and I'm like, dude, you're freaking heavy, get off of me.
Gotta have a big stroller. Gotta have a big stroller.
Oh man.
This was my first. This is my third blade show in Atlanta. I always go to the Nashville Custom Knife Show because it's a small show, a 2-day show, and you can. I love it. I like it even almost more than Blade because you get access to some really cool makers that have very small tables. Where at Blade Show they'd have a 20 by 20. But
Yeah, there's a ton of like little branded tables for smaller companies. I did go to one of them, and one of them was a custom one, and gorgeous knives. I really wanted them, but it was $25 to $3,000 for just one knife. And I'm like, I can't do that right now. And even now, I'm just like, dude, I'm sorry, but it's a
well, you
lot.
think of what you could have for that same money, right? It's all about give and take. I could have, if it was going to be knives, I could have 3 Roosevelts.
Yeah.
You know, I'd
Yeah,
have
dude,
a
Roosevelt's are
Roosevelt, a
pretty.
Koenig, and a CRK. You know, you know that
Yeah.
you could. It's kind of, you've really got to want it. But what I found is if you meet these makers, and I never go up to anybody unless I'm trying to get with like a, not a custom maker, because they never have knives to let you review. But
Oh yeah,
I,
because they're custom. They're 100% custom, and
absolutely,
it's
but
all
they're
one night
people.
for them.
And if you say, you know, I've got this amount of budget, they might be able to tell you they can get you something with these materials, this blade steel with this look, because they are making them literally by hand.
Oh
And I
yeah.
found there's probably 5% of knife makers that are egotistical nutcases who I wouldn't want to work with. But the other 95 are the most humble. When you tell them that you really like what they do, they are legitimately surprised. It's almost like I do this in my spare time and I can't believe anybody would pay for it, but thank you. And a great
Yeah.
example of that is I saw him yesterday and I was carrying his knife. I don't know where I put it. Probably lost it. No, it's right here. But this is the
Yeah.
guy out of Maine named Colin McGuire.
Cool.
He makes several different styles, but this one is 80 carbon fiber, AEBL. One of his specialties is to take his own ingots and make his own Damascus, and he does some amazing pattern Damascus. But this knife, I want to say, made in America, super thin and slicey, 80 carbon
There's.
fiber, was like $300, and he makes it all by hand.
Oh wow, that's wow.
And he's such a
Yeah, seeing that.
appreciative guy. The fact that you would buy his knife, he's like, thank you. You know, I do it because I love it. And the fact that people want it is amazing. And those are the type of people who will work with you. So if you see something you really like, Mersault's the best. I haven't even given him one Lite rib.
Sorry. Versal, you're funny.
You guys are good, and you did a
actually,
great job last
there
night.
hasn't
I
really been.
cannot read the chat. I'm never able to communicate, and I've been doing this for
Dude.
78 shows. You do the best job. You engaged with everybody, and it was fast last night. I mean, you had 60 something people in, and it was flying. I couldn't keep up with it.
So when I ended, it said the highest was 60. The
Oh,
highest
60?
was 60. I was like, okay, one time wonders are flukes for lives because that's a live for your first time. So I'm just like, okay.
Nope.
But
You did a great job. And what we'll do Sunday, what everybody should do, and what I like to do with lives is share them. When you go live, everybody just click share and either share it on their Instagram or share it to their text. I shared it with Shane. He was traveling. I shared it with Pocket Metal. He was painting. Just let people know. And then A to Z EDC. I know you didn't recognize him, but he came in. He's my local buddy.
okay.
And he's a great knife guy. I mean, he doesn't have a YouTube channel, but he's got a killer Instagram page, and he's responsible for probably 3% of my content. He lets me borrow stuff like his. He's going to let me borrow his Strix. He's going to let me borrow. He let me borrow his original Koenig, which led to me getting the Mini, and just has a fine collection. But a nice guy. He just doesn't do a lot of lives. You know, he watches videos, but. Or he'll get in and lurk, which a lot of people do. A lot of people just like to be in and listen, and pick
Chris
up on it.
Morris, I have a oh my gosh, a page. Can someone post that for me?
Your
be,
YouTube page?
Yeah.
I got it right here.
I might just do Sunday night. Okay.
And you know
Sunday
who
nights.
Scott In is? Do you know who Scott In is?
No,
I'll introduce you to him. It's he's the one that runs the YouTube schedule, the YouTube knife schedule. So it's a Google sheet, and what we'll do is we'll make sure you get put on there, so it gets circulated every day, or it's a website that people can go to. And I'm going to go ahead and pin this in the comment, guys. I had Tony Boombots pinned up at the comment.
Chris.
And we're going to put him back up there on Friday. But I do want y'all, I met him at Blade Show. He is a super, super nice dude. He's getting started. He's got about 500 subs, and I think y'all would like his content. But we've got Meredith pinned up at the top, and definitely
Like,
give her a follow.
I literally had to stop the live because I was like, because I'm still healing from being sick.
And you've had a
Still-
family you've had to take care of that's been sick too, right? So it's not like you've gotten to rest through it.
And literally, they left on Friday. We all got sick, including my in-laws, okay, on Saturday, and we've been sick since.
It'll only get better because you said that you weren't feeling good and you had a little cough, but you are so natural and you did such a great job. I mean, you had some very well placed, kind of clean dad funnies that were not risque, but they were funny, right? And it was, and
I tried. I tried.
You are natural, and that's what I'm saying. That's what keeps people engaged. That's what keeps them chatting with each other. Is just having someone who's bubbly, who's throwing out, or keeping up with what they're saying in the chat, because that's where I think the best lives come from. Is if you pick up on what people are talking about in the chat, and you can shed light on it or get a conversation started. Paul Mills, I'll get it tomorrow, buddy. They slacked on me today. Paul Mills and I have been trading. We're both on kind of buying freezes. And I don't know if he knows, but I'm really kind of leaning towards his Nkosi. And I'm thinking his Protec with maybe a Devo might get him all worked up. The Mordax that he's been after, that I love. God. But I just don't carry it as much. I got it at Nashville Knife Show because you can only get these at shows. And it had a little bit of detent lash. And it didn't really bother me, but it was different than my Malibu. This is Magna Cut, super thin, Ferrum Forge collab. And so I called Protec about a year later, and I said, I picked this up in Nashville, 2022, and it's got a little bit of detent lash. It really doesn't bother me, but it's different than my Malibu. Do you think it's something I should send in for warranty? And the lady I talked to said, absolutely. Directed me to their page on where I had to fill out a little warranty form, send it in my box, in a hard box, with a $15 check, which I felt was fair for them to ship it back. And they said I'd have it back in 7 days. And she even told me that the first generation, which it sounds like this might have been in, had a bad or some kind of detent issue. So I sent it back. It had snail trails all over it. I mean, it was literally a knife I'd carried for a year, but I didn't really hard use it. I just carried it and bumped into stuff. That's what I do with my pocket clips.
Yeah.
So when it came back about 7 days, not business days, but 7 total days later. It was sealed up. I opened it and it was a brand new knife because it had no snail trails and was just perfect. You know, and it's just, they're so good, but Paul Mills really wants one. And he's got a Chris Reeves Nkosi, which I didn't want anything to do with because of the humps. But like an idiot at Blade Show, I made a special trip by their booth to hold the small and the large because I didn't know which one he had. And they both fit my little mid-sized hand perfectly.
Yeah, so I actually met the wife and the Protec guy.
Dave?
Yeah, at
people.
Late HQ grand reopening.
They are such great people.
So my son went up and grabbed their challenge coin, and my son will only hug who he wants to. He literally gave her a hug, no, 2 hugs, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, yes!"
That's a good character. That's kind of like dogs trusting you. I mean,
it was hilarious. Okay, and what was funny is the guy, the owner, he's
Dave.
like Dave.
And I
so
can't
Dave
think of his last name.
Told my husband, he goes, "If you buy this, I'll sign it for you." I'm like, and it was one of their knives, and Tony goes in and is just like, "I can't do it. It's $300." I'm like,
did you offer him like, I'd go $225 and you don't have to sign it?
No, because you had to actually go into Blade HQ office.
Oh, that's right. He was
Right.
in. I got you.
Yeah,
It's
so
Dave Wattenberg is his name, and
he's
every one
so
of the Protecs that I bought, well, not everyone, but my Malibu and my Mordax, I bought from him personally in Nashville, and he was such a nice guy, and he was so engaging for somebody who didn't have to be. He didn't even have to be at the show for as big as they are and as successful as they are.
yeah.
But did you watch Zach's live on Sunday? Zach's
No.
stuff? Do you follow Zach's stuff? Do you know who he
Oh,
is?
I kind of actually did do a little bit of his live, but I didn't
That
say
new
hi.
Protec was sick. They've got a new Protec out that's an automatic, and I used to not like automatics at all.
I actually touched a lot of their autos at Blade HQ grand reopening. They were pretty sweet.
You would
Yeah.
love this. This is what someone told me to get as my first auto. It's a Protec Newport, and I had a Kershaw before and a Boker. But this is a little gentleman's or purse folder. It totally hides the blade. You can close it with one hand. And I picked up 3 others out the side since, just from Protec, and it's because
Yeah.
of Dave. I never met his wife, but it was him and the way that no matter how busy they were, he would always make you feel like your questions mattered. And I always had dumb questions because I'm new to this game too. You know, one of the questions I had, which he said they eventually would, is do you plan to make more models in manual flipper button locks? Because they do it unlike anybody else. Have you ever handled a Malibu or a Mordax?
No, but his wife was super kind though, and she goes, I should know, because she tried to open one of their autos with like a flipper as the flipper, but it didn't have the flipper. And she goes, I should have, and she hands it to her husband, Dave, and he goes, it's an auto. You push this button. She goes, oh my gosh, I should know about this. We've been in the industry for like 25 years.
And they've pushed the envelope. If you look at the knife makers in America, who I think are getting squeezed on a lot of areas, they're not making, except for a few, normal knives. You know, you've got overbuilt knives, you've got wacky automatic knives, and then what we don't pay attention to, but is a big part of the market, are those bally songs. I mean,
Dude,
that's the thing at Blade Show that's scary. All those kids walking around with those knives. Can you do one?
oh, this is a live blade, dude, Javon. I feel
No,
like
don't do it. Don't do it.
okay. I don't even know. Hold on.
Don't cut yourself. I'd feel terrible. I know there's one side you can hold and be safe, allegedly, and one side you can't.
Yeah, so that's called the live blade. That's the bite mark, which is right here.
Ooh, I
So
believe you. You don't have to flip that one. That's got blades on both sides.
no, it's only on one.
Do they have those shows that are like an hour and a half out at Blade Show West where everybody goes outside and they have the top flippers go
Yes.
for like a minute each? I mean, to me, I'm surprised they don't have fingertips laying all around and they're constantly sweeping them up like peanut husks.
Oh my gosh.
I just don't see how they do it because it just looks so hectic.
Yeah. Well, we actually have 2. My husband.
I loved them in high school. I loved them in high school. They had so many junky bally songs, but I was never comfortable enough to use them more than just being able to flip it over and have it hit the back of my hand and open it.
Yeah, well, I'm already nervous with just that because I'm still pretty new at the balisong training. And it's just ridiculous. But yeah.
You ought to pick up a trainer. They're not that expensive.
We actually have trainers, so
you can get your emotions down, but then you're going to just get more confident and cut yourself deeper. So this is a knife that I picked up. This is the Magic Whiskers 2 from Protec.
Huge.
It is huge. And my buddy has the Magic Whiskers 1, which is more my size, but if you'll notice, it doesn't have a button on it
Mhm.
at all. So like the Magic Whiskers 1, you would just slide the scale. And on
Oh.
this Magic Whiskers 2, you can maybe see some jimping here at the back.
Uh-huh.
You just take the butt of your hand.
Whoa.
And so basically what I'm doing is I'm shifting. I don't know if you can see that displacement, but I'm just shifting the scale up. So when I shift the scale up, it locks up. And then all you do is you take the butt of your hand and on the
Whoa.
and it
that is
opens. My mother couldn't open it, and my buddy A to Z EDC, who has the Magic Whiskers 1 and is a knife guy, he sat there and fiddled with it for like 10 minutes. It is a big knife. It's one that I've tried to trade with Paul Mills, and I've tried to trade with A to Z for his full size rock eye. That
yeah,
has a button.
for sure.
But I
Freaking
think we need to do a regular Sunday night, and let me show you what I'm talking about with the knife tube schedule.
okay. Yeah, because I saw that not a lot of people would go on Sunday. MC would go on Sunday every so often when he's
It's a good night for it.
But yeah.
And you don't have to limit yourself. What you can do, depending on what your schedule's like, you can do little portrait, those ones that you were doing with the portrait mode, you're going to get a lot more traffic on those. Why did that not pull up? But you can do little daytime 30-minute shorts or shorts live streams if you ever want to. You know, the times we always joke about, that's why there's so many networks on cable. You know, there's so many of us now, it's hard to not have overlap.
Yeah.
So you don't want to deny yourself the opportunity to engage your audience, especially when they want to see you, because it's one of those things, right? I mean, where just find times that you want to go live and do it.
Yeah.
But Sunday nights is a good night. Now, Shane, sometimes they usually go live at 9 for an hour or so, but you're on the West Coast, right? Or you're Western time or Pacific, what is it, Mountain time?
Mm-hmm. So I'm an hour behind you.
So what time did you go live last night?
So 8 p.m. my time, it would have been 9 p.m. your time.
Okay, the only person that goes live at that time, and keep in mind, I go live at the same time as Bees Blades does, so I'm losing thousands of viewers there. But I never publicize giveaways. That's a great way to drive traffic to your lives. If you ever do giveaways and you publicize them, the reason I don't is not because I'm greedy. It's just because I want them to go to people who come, right? I don't want them. I don't want to grow the channel on giveaways because I know a lot of people are just out there for that.
Oh yeah, and I was showing people that I was gonna do a giveaway, but I don't even know how to do that though.
Well, I can show you a simple way. I mean, there are two different ways to do it. Do you use StreamYard or do you just use YouTube?
I used YouTube yesterday.
All right, I'm going to show you a link that I'm going to share in the chat in the private. Well, can you see the private chat up at the top? Do you see two
Yeah.
things? Okay, I'll throw something in the private chat.
Wait, I think
you ought to bookmark this because this is the YouTube comment picker tool. So if you don't pay for it, I paid for it for a little while, but I don't pay for it anymore. So all that limits, I can't do hashtags anymore. But that's okay because what you can do is you can set up a video or you can pick somebody else's video. But you can set up your own video and just have people leave a random comment in there and then just cycle through these random comments. So I'm going to put this in the private chat. And I use this when I'm not using the StreamYard random picker, because the StreamYard random picker, I was getting, because I use Pirate Ship to ship all my stuff. I was getting a lot, and it was nobody's fault, but I was getting a whole lot of the same people. Did that come through?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Like,
Bookmark that and play around with it. Because basically you just copy any video link, yours or someone else's. The only thing, the free version, it makes you do math before you get your users. It'll say what's 7 plus 6.
Okay, I was wondering why, because I was so confused. I thought you had to pay for that.
No, you don't. All you do, and the way I do it is I say, and you can even say leave Javon in the comments or leave MPG in the comments, and then you'll be able to see the comments pretty much, because you'll know how many comments are in the video before you announce it. And that's why it's sometimes nice to put up your own video, because you're getting likes and you're getting views on your video, which over time will help feed the algorithm. And what I've heard, and it's true, because a lot of creatives have brought it up, when we do these raids and send subscribers for giveaways to other channels, a lot of times it costs those channels subscribers, because they might get 100 subscribers that night, but those subscribers aren't clicking on other videos. And YouTube thinks it's bot traffic. So what they do is they come in and they clean out subscribers. And I've had several people, Rob's Nerdy Knives is one of them, ask me not to do that. And I've heard it from other creators too. So we kind of don't do channel raids anymore unless somebody asks for it. And I'm very specific, and you have to watch a short, leave a comment on another video, leave a comment for the giveaway, because the more someone engages, it shows the algorithm or the YouTube bots that it's humans. But when they see 100 subscriptions in a night and they've been seeing 4 or 5 a day, it does send off, even though they're love bombs and they should be able to see that. It's just a lot of times it's better just to do your giveaways on your videos, because you're building up your viewership and you're getting the likes and getting your videos more in algorithms. Plus you can control it with the free, just leave a comment. I'm going to circle random comments. You have to be here to win type stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Crewware, there's a guy named Mr. Eddie 411 on Insta. He actually, maybe, but I don't know if he does leather. Maybe leather crafting grizzly bear will do some. See, I don't know what other, I know he does leather, so, but Kyle, how dare you?
I've got 2 Crewware that I use, and one other that I'd like to use, but I haven't been able to afford them yet. Joey Few. He's on Instagram. We'll go there in a second. But Lancelot Leather makes all types of different sheaths. This is just a basic pocket dropper, but he makes more intricate sheaths with side straps. And then I really like these Chattanooga made Oak City leather slips, because you can purchase these with sewn in discreet carry clips. I've got one with, or a couple with ulti clips, and they make them when you go to their website, and we'll go to it in a second. You can choose most manufacturers' knives, custom makers' knives, and they keep them in stock. They're very well made. They're about $70. And like, I kept this thing in my back pocket in Blade Show. You can see how the sheath's kind of a little bit bowed because it was in my back pocket, but the blade got none of that. So I can recommend Lancelot Leather for sheaths, and I can recommend Oak City Leather, and I can definitely recommend Joey Few. And I'll pull him up. I mispronounced his name.
I've had Grizzle Bear leather crafting.
Grizzle Bear Leathercraft is great, and so is Izzy. And I forget Izzy's company name.
Okay. Well, my husband just put on his new AWT scales. Do y'all want to see?
Absolutely.
So this is the Presidio with the olive drab. Oh my gosh.
Aren't they an easy install? What's his name?
Tony.
Hey, Tony. Were they an easy install for you? My Benchmade, the only one I've put those scales on, they were one of the easiest scale mods I've done. They
Yeah,
fit really well.
depends on how much the pivot fights you. You got to line it up right.
Yeah, I'll tell you what you ought to do if you don't have one. They're about $24, and you can find them on Etsy.
Thanks, Kyle, for pointing my channel out again.
This is a Benchmade pivot alignment tool.
Oh yeah, I've seen those little spikes.
Have you seen these? They're like $24, and OCD for EDC has a much more at OCDforedc.com, Justin, a much more economical set. They're 3D printed, but this has the D-shaped poker pivot. So it's got one for like your bug out size and one for your crooked river. And you basically line up this with the pivot in the D shape. You push this through to keep your axis lock in place. You can switch out your scale. You push the pivot on the end. You push it right back through so your pivot's back in the knife. You haven't had to take out your axis lock. You flip it and do it again. It's a great tool. I don't do a lot of Benchmade mods. I haven't in the last 8 months, but this is a great tool. And I would think OCD for EDCs are just as good because it's just basically shaping that D-shaped pivot so that you can literally stick your pivot on the end where this poker is, line it up, and then you're pushing that pivot in and out with the stick, and it slides in smooth. I mean, it's just a great way to do it. Q-tips work too, but this is press fit for those sizes, right?
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna get one of those tools.
Let me know next time you've got a mod. I'm happy to ship this out for you to try to see if it's worth your while.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dawson. AWT makes really great stuff. He just got these in the mail, and this is the olive drab, the anodized olive drab. And Kyle says, "Hey," Kyle Kunley. But yeah, they're such lightweight scales. On sometimes, as I said in my live yesterday, sometimes it shaves off weight or puts a little bit more on.
Yeah, this one definitely adds a little bit.
Yeah, but not by much though. That it doesn't feel like it's really changed all that much. But yeah, it's really pretty. I don't know if you guys can see.
They look they look like they're super nice.
They feel premium, dude. It's crazy.
But don't you think it's the finish? Because I think the finish feels so good on them.
Yeah, the finish definitely feels really, really good. They do really good work. So I think, do they do in CNC machining on this?
Oh, I guarantee you. They're probably all made on Haas machines if I had to guess.
He used to work in a CNC shop.
Are those 6 axis machines?
Well, Haas makes some, but they like VF2s and stuff. Those are just regular 3-axis mills. I've seen them. They're a dime a dozen at every machine shop.
Because they're flat, right? They're cutting flat most of the time.
Yeah, they're not doing any 3D machining. I used to machine with 5-axis, and like, there's only a few types of parts that you really need that for. One of the main things I made was cervical plates. They're implants that go in someone's spine. And the organic contours of someone's spine are not like flat. And so you need the 5-axis to like actually make that contour that's very weird, if that makes any sense.
Do you still work with CNC machinery? Because that seems to be a skill set that's in super high demand.
No, he got laid off, and then that year we he got a better job. He works for Northrop Grumman, which is the
I know who they are. I'm in Huntsville. So a lot of that stuff, a lot of the shit that blows up all around the place comes from here. What's weird? What's that?
We have been known to blow up stuff, but in a controlled manner.
As it should be. Smart explosives are good. I used to, when I was at Spectrum Reach, which was the corporation I worked at for 8 years, we worked at a place in Huntsville called Perimeter Place. And it was a government. There were 2 kind of nondiscrete government office buildings, and we were on the 3rd floor of one of them. And what was so interesting to me is for half of the year, I would walk through and I'd walk past this office in the lobby that was a multi-million-dollar office. There were like rockets in there, little missile type things, and videos playing on the wall, and Apple Macs scattered around the lobby. Just a really nice place. And then you come back, you get to know the people. You'd wave to the people because you see them every day. And then you'd come by one Monday and the place would be shut down. Not a thing in there. Totally dead. And then a week later, you'd come in there. There'd be a different sign. There'd be a different missile, maybe a same missile, the same exact people working there. You'd say, "Hey, Sally, how are you?" "Oh, I'm great. How are you?" "We've been off for a week." I'm like, "You've been off for a week. You're a different company now." But I think that's how the defense game works.
Yeah, we do swap programs a lot.
Do you mean this gong, guys? Who did I see that? No, Todd, we have not shown the gong yet.
Let's hear your gong, your wedding gong. I want to see how it compares to my gong that sounds like a snare drum.
I thought you were in the live because I did it like 4 times.
I want to hear it though, and then I want to hear this gong side by side because yours is better.
Okay, anybody with headphones needs to take them off because it's going to be loud.
This has got some resonance. This makes Cole's gong sound like a muted snare drum.
It does.
It does.
And he always loses his freaking...
He's whacking it with something besides his mallet every time.
It's a fake mallet. Kyle.
I'm sure Cole got it at Temu. He didn't even get it on Amazon.
Temu.
Of course.
That is classic. Here's mine, but it doesn't sound right, allegedly.
What?
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Actually,
yours is better, much better. And that's a real gong because you can get different tones from different places that you hit it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've got a percussionist buddy who's like very, very well accomplished. They played to 8,000 people in Georgia in Augusta Saturday night. They're called the Beastie Boys. They're 40 to 50 years old and they play Beastie Boys music. They almost got fined for saying the F word because when they got there, it was a civic event. They said, "We forgot to tell y'all, but it's got to be clean." And they're like, "We're the Beastie Boys. You know, we covered the Beastie Boy music." Paul Revere, have you ever heard that? I mean, what can't we say and what can we say? You know, how? And so everything was fine except the guy said the F word once, which they gave him a pass because they told him, "Look, if you say this word or cuss words, we won't be able to pay you." And it got to be kind of a nasty because they drove over there for like 8 hours and it was a very well-paying gig.
Yeah.
I know. Mine's all MIDI, dude. Mine's not real. MPG's got a legit gong, a real gong. My gong sounds more like a gong than Cole's gong.
Are you kidding me? My sister-in-law, Tony's sister, actually got one for her wedding. And then he saw that and goes, "I want one now." I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You seriously want one?
Yeah, so
it's like a wind chime that you can
got it for us
control.
For our wedding.
I think it's awesome. This is my Cole voice. This is my radio voice. I did an octave up to see what it was like, and then I set it up
where I could go back to my regular Cole voice, which is 2 octaves down. So when Kara's in the room and I can't change her voice, this is how I sound. And when he got lost trying to find me at Blade Show 2022, I heard him screaming about 800 yards away because he walked up a mountain past our house. I was like, "Is that a wildcat?" "No, it's Cole."
Somebody needs to record that and use it against him on one of his streams.
Oh, you'll hear him. If you watch any of his old Blade Show footage, none of that's voice changed. He has a great voice. His voice does not sound bad at all. He says, and I can understand this, if you do a lot of editing, nobody likes the way their voice sounds.
Yep.
I literally, so well, okay. The reason why no one likes their voice is because they're hearing it in their head.
Right. It's not reality.
It's not real. So whenever I've heard my voice, I'm like, dude, I don't sound like that. And people are like, yeah, it's
You
you.
sound just like that. And I think, no, I don't. I don't sound like that at all. And when I sing, I sound so much better. But what happened to that recording? I mean, I'm a great singer. I can hear it. And they're like, no, you suck. You're tone deaf. I used to do that for a living, and I was tone deaf, and I did suck because I've heard the tapes. But your mind plays tricks on you.
Well, for me, I can sing, but I don't do it super publicly because it's terrifying. But I get so nervous that I go off key.
We
bad.
used to get very nervous, but we got very medicated. I was doing it back in probably through 96, 97, and alcohol was flowing freely and all other kinds of things. So I was always kind of disassociated, but able to play. And I always thought, how can people like Keith Richards hold it down when he's nodding off on stage, right? And they do. You know, you've got a lot of these guys like Eric Clapton back in his troubled days, or Jimmy Page in his troubled days. They still pulled that shit off. You know, it wasn't their best work, but it was still good work. But stage fright, I think, is real for anybody. It's scary stuff. Standing in front of two people is terrifying.
Yeah, I've done it and did it right before my mom passed. I sang in church and stuff, and I'm glad she saw that before she passed, because it was just
Excruciating.
yeah. And
But it's something, as you grow, don't let that passion go, because you'll get to be my age where you realize, and it was probably 8 years ago where I quit giving a fuck what other people thought. And you kind of have this self-liberating feeling. So if you like things like that, you're not as nervous, because you're holding a position of statesmanly. You're a little older. You're not older than the people you're performing to, but you're at an age to where you're totally comfortable in your identity. And you probably are now, but you're at a point to where things like stage fright, fear aren't as apparent. If you like to sing, if it's something that you miss, you go back to choir, you see what it's like, and you realize that this isn't as scary as I once thought it was, because you've grown away from
group. I'm okay with a group. Okay. It's when it's by myself that I'm
soloing.
Forget it. But I can do it. I can do it. It's just, it's hard. I don't do it very often. So the stage fright's there, but I have fun once I'm done. I'm like, that was fun, you know? But yeah.
I always had fun, but every single show I ever played, I would sing and play rhythm guitar, and I would always jack something up terribly, lyrically and in chord changes, where maybe people in the audience didn't pay attention to it, but we had digital little tapes of everything, because we just recorded our sets. And it was just horrible. It's horrific to hear. And when you do it on stage, you feel it, right? Even if nobody notices, you're like, oh my God. And then trying to recover, to me, it's like then I start kind of spiraling through that song. I mean, it's just, but you get to a point to where it's just like, I'm going to do it because I like to do it. People don't like it. It's art, whatever. Yoko Ono got away with it, whatever.
Yeah.
I can do better than that, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Javon, I do have to go.
Y'all, I know it's late there. Tell Tony I was glad to see him. And good to see you, buddy. Hope to get to see you more often. And I know we'll meet one day soon.
Sure.
If you ever come out to Utah for, Blade Show West.
That's a plan. That's a trip I definitely want to make. And Utah is beautiful. I don't have any reservations about whatever religious sects are out there, or religious groups. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful part of the country.
It really is. So,
well,
do you guys live in Utah?
Huh?
Y'all live in Utah, right?
Yeah, we do.
So you can go out and hike the desert. You can go out and hike the
Yeah.
mountains.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've Tony wants to do the Narrows in Zion, but that's gonna have to wait a while because our son is really tiny and I really don't want to carry him. Because I mostly
That's a long trek.
yeah. It's
8 miles.
8 miles, dude. It's an 8-mile hike. And that's a long trip. I don't want to do that.
8 miles through the river.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Through
And then back. Yeah.
And you're doing 16 freaking miles in one day.
Is there a place that you could camp, that you could hike in and camp and hike out, or they discourage against that?
You can do that.
It's actually the preferable way to do it, but it's
with a kid it becomes problematic.
Yeah, I think the campsite, there's not very many campsites and it's kind of hard to get one. So
don't you have to like get ahead?
Yeah, you have to get on a list or play the game where it's like, oh,
the lottery.
Yeah.
Like usual.
Just get out there real early one morning and start hike out, get there a little after lunch and make it back before dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just it's a bucket list. We live in Salt Lake County, Palmer, and we live about like 20 to 30, depending on traffic, 20 to 30 minutes away from Salt Lake.
But that's great accessibility. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, and
you're far enough out, but yet you've got access to what you need.
Yeah, West is literally in Salt Lake. And so it's literally, that's why it's only a 20 to 30 minute drive, depending upon traffic. Usually if it's in the morning and it's for weekdays, if it's like, if they open their doors at 9, it's going to be traffic.
Do you guys like to ride mountain bikes? Just a random question.
Yeah, my husband has not done that in years. And
last time I did, I hurt myself really bad. So
I dislocated a shoulder hitting a tree, and I knew I'd given up I still skateboard every day, but I was an avid mountain biker when I lived in Boulder, Colorado, and all through college before I moved to Boulder. I got ready to move back from Boulder to Jackson to play music again. I traded my Specialized rock hopper for a set of golf clubs, and I knew I just folded my life. I was just like, okay, there's no adrenaline in golf, but, and I haven't bought a mountain bike since, but when you go from a mountain bike to golf clubs, you're kind of resigning. And I think I was in my low 30s at that time. Sad, but it probably kept me from getting killed.
Yeah.
Palmer and Kathleen, we live in Bluffdale. So, yeah. I can't believe, because Sandy's, wow. Anyways.
Kyle, I was a brutal mountain biker. I mean, we rode hard, dude. We'd go through like Tuskegee National Forest and we would bunny hop and chain roll over big ass logs, and we'd always flip over our handlebars, and somebody would always end up at the hospital. I remember my buddy Lawson Brown, he flipped, landed on his Walkman. This is back when you had the sport Walkmans on your back that you carry on like a propylene little waist thing. He had a mark on his spine perfect of a Walkman. You could have put a plaster cast in it and it would have been a Walkman. And he couldn't walk. We had to take him to the hospital, put his bike in the back. And yeah, that shit happened all the time. We did wear helmets, which is surprising because growing up as a kid, I went over the handlebars all the time, probably had 1,000 concussions.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Crispy Brutal, that is perfect, buddy. You got a bunny hop when you got a bunny hop. You have a great night. Thank you for coming on. And I mean, keep doing your lives. And I'll send you the link when I can get one that'll get on, because Scott sends it around. And you can sign up so that it'll get sent to you, and it tells you who's live every day. But you can just go in and in the Google Sheet, add when you want to go live, and he'll put it in his list and start cycling it out so people will know when you're going live.
Rob's in Saratoga. That's literally 20 minutes away from me.
I think of Saratoga, Florida. Saratoga.
Saratoga. Hey, Mike. But yeah,
Mike Durnack.
it's I think Sunday, because everything I've seen
Outdoor.
all the other days than Sunday. So, all right, Javon, you have a good night.
You too. Thank you for coming on. I enjoy talking to you and enjoy talking to Tony. And I think you guys have got as long as you want to do it, do it. I mean, your interview with Nothing Fancy immediately got my attention, and your ease of the interview, even though he signed your knife 2025 and you let him sign it twice 2025. I think that's classic. I think that makes it better. But
I was like, I literally
how do you
pointed it at.
correct somebody? How do you correct somebody though? Without feeling like an ass. I would do the same thing. I'd sit there and go, thank you. And I wouldn't ever say anything. I'd feel guilty
Oh,
saying,
dude,
oh,
I said something, and he goes, "Oh, it's okay."
it's still my signature.
Yeah, it's still his signature. I just thought it was hilarious.
Okay, Todd Carr just put it up. Let me see if I can click on it in my other thing, because I want to go ahead and just put you in.
But
I'm
yeah,
going to share it and show you what it is. And I know you got to go.
yeah, it's because it's 10 o'clock and
Get out of here, and I'll send you this link through Instagram, and you
Okay.
can. It's a Google Sheet, and you can or Google Sheet. And you can go in, and we'll find you a time and slot you in there.
Yeah, for sure. And if you want to do this again, we can do this again.
You're welcome any Friday night you want to hang. I go Friday. Friday's my normal night. Monday nights are usually Metal Complex. Not Metal Complex. God, that was a slip. Pocket Metal, if you're listening. Fuck, dude. That's going to have to be a new rule on my list. Pocket Metal gives me a rule list of people, including makers I can't talk about. So I'm his co-host. So usually he's here Monday nights. And then every other Saturday night, Lefty and I would go live on Off the Edge where we just talk. And then the other Saturday night, Stevie and Maddie would go live. But he's now about to be a dad again, and he's doing some work on a new house. So he's every other Saturday night running a night company, working a real job, having a YouTube channel that's really successful. He doesn't really want to talk to me, I don't think, every other Saturday night. I don't blame him. So I do Off the Edge Lite. So there'll be a lot of opportunities. If you ever see me live and you want to come on, or if you want to come on when you see me post that I'm going live, it's always Fridays, but just shoot me a link. The more the merrier. I like to have a few people on. It's fun.
Yeah, honestly, I just started this for the hell of it because of Rob.
That's the only reason I do it. I started it originally with just shorts so I could do the knives live. And then I like the people. I came for the knives. Usually my ADHD will get me in a hobby for 2 or 3 years, really hot and heavy. And then I get totally burned out of it. And I think the reason I've stayed in knives, even though I'm not seeking out knives like I used to, it's because I've met so many really good people. I've met some terrible people, but they've been a really small minority, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to find that in any community.
Yeah, that sounds. It doesn't matter what you're going to be in. It as you said, it's going to be in any community, and the knife community has been like so kind to me, and I'm just like, I'm new, so I don't know.
The knife community sticks up for their own too. So if somebody's out there wrongdoing the community, there are people like Edgy American, people like Molly, OCD for EDC, who has some kind of contacts to find out what people are really doing. It's amazing to see people stick up for people they don't even know because they know they're good people. You can kind of tell over time. You see patterns in people, right?
I find it's sometimes that doesn't even happen, but yeah.
If you just stay authentic and continue to enjoy what you do, don't ever feel guilty of monetizing when you get to that point. Because if you're like me, you'd only share things that you're buying and liking anyway, right? So if you believe in a product and you like it, you share those ideas with people if they like it and they can use your link. It's helpful. And I was one of those that struggled with affiliate links at all. But I realized that as long as I stayed credible and didn't start reviewing crazy knives that nobody had ever heard of and saying that the greatest things ever, which I never would do, it's just a natural part of kind of growing your community and giving them what I think is helpful information. Especially when you can get knife companies And I've got one that I'm working with that I'm going to be probably the only guy who doesn't want to keep the knives for the content. I like the company so much. I said, if you'll send me new knives, I'll review them. I can get them back to you in 7 or 8 days. And I won't do any hard cutting with them because my whole stick is talking about how a knife makes me feel. I always let people know that I do cut stuff, but it's paper, it's Amazon packages. You know, it might be me feather sticking if I'm camping twice a year, but it's just because I really like knives. So if I can get more companies to send me knives, since I'm not buying a lot now, I just think I can offer more content. But it's not because I want just any knife on the channel, right? Some knives I don't have any desire to look at because they wouldn't interest me at any stage of my collecting. I mean, my collecting's changed so radically from when I started. I swore I'd never own a slip joint. Fixed blades were stupid. Had no desire for them. When I first got into knives, it had to be assisted opening. It had to be a Kershaw assisted opening.
Yeah, I used to work at Big Five, and they mostly had fixed and assisted openings and stuff, and then got out of that job. But yeah, I actually do not mind fixed. I like them when I need them. Like, I'm still reviewing my Kaiser Raven chef knife that I got. And so it's dull in the fact of tomato cutting, because I cut freaking hundreds of tomatoes. I hate them damn things, but they taste so good in soups and chili, homemade chili that I make. And
that's a coarse material to cut through. People don't realize that it has got a dulling property because it
dulls any freaking knife that isn't serrated so quickly. The second time it was barely cutting through it, but I was cutting up carrots and celery like it was paper.
Because you could just chop through them, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is when I got my first EDC fixed blade before my chickadees, and today I'm carrying, because I carry one every day. I have a fixed blade on me every day with a slip joint, which I used to swear I'd never buy, and with my primary folder, just because I'm a knife junkie.
Yeah.
But I don't be here too long.
Yeah, I don't.
I know Tony's probably cussing you in silent, even though he wouldn't cuss you. He's just like, look, you told him you were getting off 20 minutes ago.
Yeah,
and
I
he
was
just keeps talking.
a shower and stuff, so it's like, and it's 10 o'clock, and I've been getting to points that I've actually liked talking to you with. So, but yeah,
come back. Yep, you're welcome any Friday to hang. You're welcome any Monday. I do this alone, and any other Saturday that I'm going light, which seems pretty often lately. So it's good. You know, as long as we've got the spot, I feel like people come out, and I want to have them to have a place to hang, because that's what it's about.
Yeah, with that, it's also like feeling good about the community and just getting stuff out there. And for me, I'm a freaking nobody.
Yeah, we're all nobodies. And like I say, in my professional career, which is digital marketing, there's no such thing as a digital expert. There's no such thing as a knife expert. It changes so much. You've got to be willing to be open-minded and learn. You know, some things that come out are shiny, but they're not great. Some things that come out are overlooked, but they're really good. So, you know, it's just one of those things that you go into it kind of with the inquisitiveness of a child, right? And I never want to put myself off. And there's some that do as the authority for knives, but I'm just a user. I'm somebody who came to the community by watching videos and then stayed because Kyle, you guys know I'm Chatty Cathy. All right, y'all are going to make me
better my cold voice. If that's annoying, I will just keep doing it.
I am literally Chatty Cathy too, so don't even worry. My husband Tony understands too. He's just
y'all have a great night. I'll let you go. I'll quit talking. Thank you for coming on. You've been a joy.
And you guys have a wonderful night. It was great talking to you.
And
Sunday.
I was just going to say, Meredith's link is pinned at the top of the chat. If you haven't had a chance to go subscribe to her, please do. You will thank me. It's great content.
We'll have more gongs.
All gong and real gongs, legit gongs.
Bye, Knife Nut. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
See you, girl. Y'all have a nice night. See you, Tony.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we are still kicking it, but that was awesome. I have really grown to love her content, her personality, her live stream last night. If any of y'all got to see it, for the first live stream, I've gone back and watched mine. They're just absolutely blah. But she did so good, and she stays engaged with the chat. And I think a lot of that's because I'm neurodivergent. I have issues with focus, especially at night, because my ADHD meds have worn off by then. If I went in the morning, I'd probably be a lot better at it. But I get sidetracked. I get hyper focused, looking at stuff to show you guys. And it's just one of those things that never really works out the way I want it to. Because I think the best way to do a live is either A, have a plan where you're going to go through and talk about stuff. But I think that's kind of setting the agenda, which some do very successfully, or you can go into it with a couple of just overarching ideas and let the chat come up with the conversations that make the most sense and bring the most insight, because you get insight from both sides. And that's something that I'm still actively trying to learn. And it's my Discord server, and primarily the Discord voice, so that people who are in the Discord can call into whatever our lives are and chat, right? I mean, within reason, ask a question, share something that you don't agree with, where you're not just reserved to texting a thought out, where you can call in. I've just got to figure out how to run it through the board. I know I can do it through Bluetooth. I know I can do it through setting up another USB, but I think it will be cool. I've seen other YouTube channels do it, bigger streaming channels, and it's just a way to engage you guys better, because I know it sucks typing. I mean, there's so many lives that I'm always in where I'm scared to type because I know I'll be on my phone typing, trying to say hi to everybody, because I feel guilty if I miss anybody. So I totally get it. I did see Satu's Rat Bastard, and I'm going to show you something else. I went to Blade Show with Dark Gravity and his son. And it would just so happen that Dark Gravity's son and we spent a lot of time at the same booth. And he picked up a Zombie Tools The Captain Companion. See that? Satu's looks, he got the cleaver one. So if we go to Satu, where did I see it? Oh, it was on YouTube. I thought I saw it on here. Where was Satu's? Yeah, it is totally badass. And there's such a funny story behind that I'll let Dark Gravity tell y'all next time he's on my live. But it was such a great father-son moment, and it was so wise. It was the difference in asking for forgiveness and asking for permission, because the son originally wanted a much cooler sword, but it was a little bit on the ask for permission over ask for permission. Demonoc, buddy, my sleep hours are so off. I do not sleep at night. Like after I get off of here, a little after midnight, I'll record a video for tomorrow. I've got one that'll go out, but I try to always keep one fresh, and I'll probably record more than one because I've got to start my box 4. But mine's horrible, and I've got to take my dad to the doctor at 8:45. Satu, I was lucky enough to bump into him again at Blade Show, him and his brother. And I think if we keep an eye on Satu, he is going to be making some amazing folders in a very short time. I think Satu has the perfect balance of machining stees and an eye for quality and a very, very, very specific tolerance of what he'll accept. He's very hard on himself. I think he can make absolutely wonderful knives because these hollow grinds he's done when he first started are just, let me make myself big. I mean, I'll have to get a piece of paper just because it's so impressive. And this one's already cut all up, but keep in mind that's an 8015 with just a sick hollow grind, and it's still got its tip. But it is so thin behind the edge on that flat. And guys, it looks factory. I mean, he didn't use a template. He matched the plunges perfectly. And then with these OG scales and the ability to put bearings in it, and it comes with bearings, the kit does. So I'm really digging it. I'm probably older than all of y'all. I am 57 going on 58. And I'm not going to let age get me down. Yeah, what was the Discord YP? I got you. YP Discord. So guys, I put it and I can re-put it back up. I put it in the members chat, the link to it, and I didn't really know how to set it up. So I set up a private server just called Javon's Knife Flicks that's got a voice in it, general text, and you can go in and you can add, different stuff based on what you guys want to be able to chat about. Let me see if I can pull it up and show y'all what I mean. Because I'm just learning how to use it. But it is really, I think if I can get this voice to work, which I think I can without paying for it, because I think it's just part of it. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? Window, Discord. All right. So when you go to my server, or you can post stuff, but you've got this general voice channel or Javon's Knife Talk. Is this sharing with y'all? Yeah. It did not pop that out for you though, did it? Let's see. Yeah, so now I'm set up on voice, but what I don't know is how, because I could turn on a camera. Let's see. I don't want Logic to capture. I want Logitech Brio. All right, it's not. Let's see if it's going to do it. So I even think I can bring video up, but it looks like it's struggling. And maybe it's because, I know why, it's because my camera's being used by, let's do this. Turn that off. But I should be able to check. But I have to be able to pump it in. So when we get you guys in the Discord, y'all should be able to click on the call button and I should be able to select from those people who want to, and I've got to learn how to use it. But it shouldn't be that difficult, and it's very operational from the app. But anyway, I'll figure that out. I don't want it just to be a waste. I don't want to offer it and have it not be anything good. And the plain Amazon from Blade. The plain Amazon. I was at their booth and I don't remember seeing that. Night, Kyle. And buddy, I promise you we're on the same side on HRCs. It's just something that I don't. Super Steel Steve is killing it. And you guys, his blades I've noticed are on Blade Binge. So if we go to Blade Binge, and I think these would count as knives that you can get a discount on using Javon. It's not Javon 10, but it's in my link tree. But he had a couple of those are Luck knives. Well, it must have sold because I thought it was higher than that. Let's see. He had a couple of kind of bushcrafty EDC fixed blades. It must have gone away. Yeah, they sold. His stuff's selling really quick, guys, and I think that's great. They did have some cool stuff because I never go to these sites as much anymore, just because I'm not able to buy stuff, and it's too much temptation on me to do something stupid. They've got a Hold Haptic, which I've never been a fan of. They've got a Herman Vesperillo, which I don't know much about. All right, I just heard something on Discord. Hold on a second. Let me go back to it. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Maybe it wasn't Discord. What the hell was that? Sorry, guys. All right, let me turn it off. And they keep hitting me with adware because they want me to do the premium version, which I'm just not a big player on. That's awesome, Jeffrey. Tim Reeves is a nice guy. I only met him in 2022 down at the pit, and he just seemed very humble. He seemed more humble than I would have anticipated him being. So I was kind of impressed. The keyboard on the phone always kills me, guys, and I know it's tough. There's got to be an easier way to do it. I just don't know why it's because I can't do it on my Apple TV. There's not a good keyboard because I don't have an external. And I guess the best way to do it that I've noticed, except I'm not comfortable watching a stream on a laptop, is a laptop. Acid Test Kids, what's up, brother? But because a laptop, if you start typing somebody's name, it pulls it because it knows they're in their chat. Like if I was going to say, hey to Acid Test Kids, I would just have to type in @ACI and it would populate it and I could just click it. It doesn't do that on the iPhone. The butthole surfers, that brings back memories. That brings back major memories. So, of any of you guys that went to Blade Show, I am probably the only guy who didn't get anything. But who of you all went? Let's see if I can put up a poll. I don't know if I can or not. Let's see. How do I add in a poll? I'll start a poll. Did you make it to Atlanta? And y'all feel free to hit the like button, but you don't have to. Demonoc, that I've heard that on almost every live, and they're just random. Todd, you know he's heat treating Shane's knives. No. Yes, that is against the rules. But luckily, I didn't have any means because every other year I went, I've always spent money I didn't have. But since I had no money, it made it kind of easy. Plus, there wasn't anything I was really looking for. I really wanted to I really wanted to meet some people. I wanted to see some people, and I wanted to just handle some knives. One of them was I wanted to handle the Nkosi because Paul Mills has one that we've been talking about. He's probably like, don't talk about that anymore because I love it again. But guys, let me check something because there should not be ads. I mean, it's monetized, but that should only be when you come in, and it should only be after the stream. So that sucks. And I don't see, let me share this with you. Because I run this in the background outside of StreamYard. And it does not, it says ads automator on, but I don't know. Let's see if I can. I don't want ads. What in the world? I guess if I do it manually, I don't have to put any in because it looks like it defaults to. What's that going to do? Ads automator off. All right. So that should be, you should not, you guys let me know if you see any more ads because you should not see them until we end the stream. And I don't know why. Paul Mills, you know, I love it, but I don't carry it. And it's a brand new one because they replaced it. I'd have to come up with something else to go with it, like a mash or something. But it's a great knife. I would miss it, but in all truth, I carry my Malibu more, even though it's got not nearly as slicey as an edge and it's 20 CV. It's not Magna Cut. The Mordax is absolutely fantastic. And my buddy A to Z EDC tried to tell me the blade grind was no different from the Fair and Forge drop version. But I talked to David and it is definitely thinner. It's got a fantastic choil. Let me get some paper. I just hit the choil. But it's got great action, great detent, whether you light switch it or push button it. So Paul, we'll think about it, buddy. I was totally off and not interested until I went to Blade Show and made the mistake of checking it out. I would send it to Satu if you hollow grind it. Unless you're good at that. I did really like it, Rob. I was one of the people who it was a knife that cut me the most when I got it. And I remember Lefty's video from early on. He hated it because what happens is if you hold it like a regular knife and you're putting pressure on this scorpion lock, it'll slow roll, but it doesn't want to flip. So the trick is you've got to put your pressure on this scale and leave the lock to its own devices. So it can, so when you flick it, it can kick itself back, right? Because it's attached right here. So when it had G10 scales, it was actually much, much more grippy. The washers were not bad at all. They didn't drop quite as nicely, but the action was great on the washers. So I didn't really have any problem with that. I thought it was great that they put bearing pockets in these scales because they had the room to do it, because you could also run thick washers on it. But it's got an MX gear clip, and I really like it better, even though the scales are slicker than the G10. They're not too slick, but they are slicker. This is still one of my favorite little EMP EDC knives. This is a Gen 1 thick boy. And it's such a ridiculous looking knife, but it's so economically, not economically, it's so functionally choppy, slicey. Thick boy, which is what it's actually called, OEM by Best Tech. And this is the second knife they came out with. Which to me, all right. Which to me was a big departure from the Nimble. This was their first, well, their first knife was a Slender Man, that little OEM slip joint that they, or out the front that they put together. But the Nimble, to me, was such a hyped knife that I think lived up to the hype because of its multiple deployment methods. And then the Thick Boy was such a departure because it only had the one deployment method, but it was OEM by Best Tech, not QSP. And it was so uniquely different that I really loved it. And then I was totally out of the EMP EDC game. I passed on the Tonto. I passed on the Warncliffe because they seemed too similar to the Nimble. But then they came out with the Nimble X, which was the big one, which is too big for me, but I bought it, and I bought the sheep's foot blade that was different. It's a great knife. It has the same action, multiple deployments, but it is a bigger knife. So after this knife, I was pretty well not seeing anything from EMP EDC that I really wanted. The biggest ironic twist there was the relative. I thought looked neat, but the fact that it didn't have the rear flipper disqualified it for me. I didn't understand why they didn't put it there. So then fast forward to Blade Show 2022, and I learned about this relative, which is a Best Tech OEM knife. It doesn't have the rear flipper, but the detent is absolute fire. And the front flipper, which I hate, all front flippers, is done to where you cannot mess it up. It's an easy front flipper to actuate, regardless of how you do it. But I'm a middle flick guy, and it's just perfect. Magna cut, deep hollow grind on the primary bevel, compound ground on the front. And so that kind of recharged my look into EMP EDC. So about 2 weeks later, they had some more Ronins left over from Blade Show, which I had no desire in until I actually handled it. This is a much thinner knife, OEM by Best Tech, with the same type of scales, but it's got a, I want to say it's LMAX. Yeah, it's got an LMAX Tonto blade, very thin, pretty much recessed in the handle. The top flipper is money, and I hate to say that because I do not like top flippers, but it's so well above the pivot that you can't miss it. And then the finger hole is money. And then the version 2 of the EMPT came out, the V2, which is the knife I passed on early on. And the reason I fell in love with this knife is the same Blade Show 2023. This knife's also OEM'd, I want to say Best Tech, it may be QSP, but it has a reverse honeycomb pattern. It doesn't have a frag pattern. It's got, for some reason, a super snappy detent, and I don't know if that has to do with the way the blade's laid out, but you've got this hollow grind, this Tonto tip, wonderful jimping, amazing action. You've got a front flipper. You've got the traditional flipper. You got the middle finger flicker. And it's just a great knife. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm a huge fan of John and Jamie and EMP EDC. And then the last one I picked up, I've never been an out the front guy, but I handled this at Blade Show, and the spring was a little stiff for me. I have since gotten a Neptune where I have to use the side of my thumb to retract it. This one, John adjusted the spring for me after he sold it to me. And this is either Magna Cut or LMAX, I forget which. But it's a nice Warncliffe blade, very slicey. Let me grab some. For an out the front, it's definitely the most EDC friendly, not defensive friendly, but it's a slicey knife. And what I saw at Blade Show, which is too big for me, he had the USA versions, which my buddy A to Z has, which I'm going to do a review on. But he also had that big, thick one. He's got a pulse out the front that's about as thick as where my middle finger is now and about as long. And it has got a honking huge blade, thick blade. Let's do this. Let's go EMP EDC and see if I can find you a picture of that. Let's see where that big bastard is. I think it was just a prototype, but let's see, catalog. I'll have to go to their Instagram to show it to you. But that is okay because it's worth it. And guys, I am in the process of trying to find a small monitor because a big one won't fit where I am. So I can have a better chance of reading the chat. What in the world? Okay, I'm not on my right account because I'm not even following EMP EDC. That's jacked up. Hold on a second. I want to be on John Evans Knife Flicks. And I want to search EMP. All right, there we are. This knife right here. Let me share it with y'all. Boom. I handled this, and it was really cool. I don't like the Ultim.
Basically a jumbo version of our Balls OTF. It's a crazy deep hollow grind. We're doing Magna Cut,
Hollow grind.
64 HRC, which is just beautiful heat treatment. The action is just stupid, and our
64 HRC Magna Cut. They're doing some of the coolest stuff, guys. That's the Singaha that's getting ready to drop at Urban EDC Company. It may have already dropped. Just really some special stuff that they're doing. And I'm happy to see them do it. I don't know if y'all ever saw their story about how they started this business back during the lockdown. But that's the USA made, where he says he's going to bring all of his OTFs in state. And it is great. I mean, the blade's a little bit narrower on this particular version because they had to do it for time considerations. But yeah, I love that. I love that they've got a relationship that's working. There's that big beast again. Look at that hollow grind. But I'm a huge fan in those guys. Fred the Lug, howdy, buddy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Paul, that's not uncommon at all. I mean, you guys remember all the grief I caught on that F and Grow EF225. It was just an absolutely fantastic knife. There was nothing I could really say to beat it up. It was good. I took it apart. It was well made. Look at this on bearings or on washers. This has got slick 'em all and thick washers, where before it had skiff bearings. Look how smooth it is. And there's absolutely no play in that blade. If you can see those thick washers in there. I thought I was going to have that just for a couple of hours to try it out, but I've really kind of taken to the washer knives. I used to be an all action guy, but like with the Strider, I really appreciate slow rolling it. That's part of the reason I'm interested in that Nkosi, because I reviewed my buddy A to Z's Sabenza, and I realized that there is some dopamine that's released when I slow roll a Chris Reeves or a Strider or a M-word knife that I won't say because this is Pocket Metal Stream, that just locks up strong. Two relatives and two nimbles are the best ones out of the bunch, Fred. They are great. That's true, 5-door. Jeffrey, that's what I put them in today in my the 3/16 in my non-Tonto, and I'm absolutely stoked. I thought it was just going to be a short trial where I'd put my skiffs back in them because I got my skiffs in the bag, but I'm loving the feel of this on the thick washers. Guys, I don't know if y'all have ever seen those over at Skiff Bearings, but if you're ever looking to, and they've got them in all sizes. So if you've ever got a bearing knife that's getting crudded up, or you use it at work, or, you know, you want it to have tighter tolerances and not be as susceptible to crap from outside. These are the thick washers that are OEM'd by our buddies over at Skiff. So the 3/16 that I've got, I thought my thickness was 3/16 by 1/16. Hold on. Yeah, these are the ones, and I need to go change my I put the wrong link. Hold on, guys. I done a bad thing. I done a bad thing. Let's go to that. Let's go to edit. Let's go to. Oh, that's 3/16 by 1/16. I got the right ones. Never mind. But so these guys are the exact same thickness as their washers, right? So that knife would normally be that caged washer. But these things are so smooth and so refined. I took a little Slick-em-all and they fit perfectly in my McNeese, and they're great. And I reached out to what's his name? Is it Sean? I forget his name at Skiff. Steve. I reached out to Steve and I was trying to find out what a good 1/4 inch would be. And I'm wondering if it's my Medford or my my Microtech. And I think the Microtech's bigger. But I want to put them in something else. 80/20, that's an older one. That wouldn't work. Those are going to be wider. And I do have some little 5mm by 1/16. So if I wanted to try it on one of my stouts or one of my mashes, I could, but that seems kind of nutty. Emerson Sheepdog, I don't have that. I don't have, let's find a 1/4 inch. I know the Hinderers, Heretic Wrath, not into that. So the Hinderer would work, but I've got phosphorus bronze washers for my Hinderers, so that's kind of a waste. 1/4 inch by 1/16 Kaiser Intrepid. Don't have that knife. Don't have the Mini Paragon. Don't have the Crudo. Don't have the Les George. But I'm going to come up on one of these in a second that I do have, and then I'll get off of here because I know this is driving y'all crazy. Y'all are probably dropping like flies. I apologize. But thick washers are, I'm surprised that I like them, right? No, that doesn't help me at all. Sharp by Design Apex doesn't help me. Sharp by Design Typhoon doesn't help me. Sharp by Design Void doesn't help me. So I don't need that. Spider. All right. So I have a feeling that my 1/4 inch are going to be rare. Tucson bowhead. I've gotten rid of almost all my Tucsons. Let's see. Get out of the Tucsons because they're all gone. 1/4 inch Vero Impulse. Don't have that knife. Don't have the Isotope. Don't have the Synapse. Don't have the Viper. Don't have the 037. I'm just looking for anything that's a 1/4 inch by 1/16. I don't know, 1/4 inch by 2mm, 1/4 inch by 2mm. Nah. Yeah, so I'm not. I was thinking maybe. What's the Microtech? Microtech. 8mm. So that's not going to help. So I've also got in my thick washers. I have got a set of 5mm by 3/64, 5mm by much thinner, 1/4 inch, which we couldn't find. So that's what I've got. So I need to look and see And I bet one of those Devos would work. Although, do I want to put Devo? Let's look at Liam. Cuff 6mm. That's not going to help. Field duty. That's not going to help. All right, let's go up here to Koenig. Would have been the size that I put in. Let's see what. Where's Devo? Where are giant mouses? 5mm by 1mm. It's 5mm by 0.65. That's too thin. 364. So those won't work. I need 5mm by 364s. What's the difference? There's 5mm by 364. The Growler US. Nope. The Growler V1. I gave that away a long time ago. Let's see if there's anything else in there that fits that. That's why these cheat sheets are so good, because a lot of these on there, there's a CGRB mica that doesn't help me. CGRB, that doesn't help me. Civivi Quibbit, I gave that away. Civivi OD22, Civivi Mini Praxis. Elementum, I was hoping maybe, because I've still got a Vision FG. It's not on there. Let's go. Let's go. Baby Banter. I do have that. So if I wanted to, I could put washers in my Baby Banter. That doesn't sound very exciting, but it's a possibility. For science, of course. And if I wonder if 1/16 is the same measurement, you guys tell me, as 0.0625. Is that the same as 1/16? I'm thinking it probably is. So then we've got that 1/4 inch. Yeah, I'm kind of out of luck there unless we go down to the Wii. Let's go to the Wii Vision real quick. And then we'll get off of here. What was that, Max Ace? I just saw it fly by. But yeah, guys, next week, or this week, Friday, we are going to give away, and I'll do a video for you members to leave just a comment in. It can be any comment. It doesn't have to be Javon, because I don't have my Patreon paid up right now. So we'll just have a video where you leave a comment. We'll do a random drawing during Friday Night Flicks. You do not have to be at Friday Night Flicks to win. 5mm 1/16. So I've got 5mm 364. Does anybody know if 0.0625 inches is the same as 1/16 of an inch? I'm not good at those conversions. I'm thinking it probably is, because those are the only other size. A Baby Banter is, I think, on washers. It does, Todd. That's what I was looking at. But what I'm not sure is the 1/16 by 5mm. It's 5mm by 1/16 thick. And then on the thick washers, they have that 1/16 broken down into a 5mm by 0.0625 inches. So it's not a fraction. So I don't know if 0.0625 is the same threshold as 1/16. 0.125 is 1/8 of an inch. So what's 5mm? This is 5mm, 0.0625. So if 0.125 is 1/8 of an inch, that would be a 1/16, right? Half of that is 0.6026, 1/16. Thank you, Fred the Lug. that helps me because that's something that, let me make myself big for a second. That's something that these washers, even though they're only made for certain knives, let's see if you can read that. Whoops. Oh, you can't read it. But it's 5 millimeters instead of by 1/16. It's about that 0.0. But guys, these are so smooth. Usually, like when I get TRMs on washers or my Spydercos, my Para 2s, I'll take them up and I'll take them up and strop them because they're usually a little bit rough. These are so smooth. I mean, I put them in the, I think y'all, if you watch the video, you'll see when I first try to open and close it, it's super tight. But after it works in for just a second, when that Slick-O-Mall gets in there, it's like butter. It is absolutely fantastic. Man, I was hoping Pocket Metal was going to pop in. Yeah, 5 millimeters is 0.5 centimeters. I was trying to see what the conversion to 1/16 is. And I think we've determined that that comes out to that 0.0625 or whatever. But the best way to try it, and I'd always say if you guys are getting into the skip game, which I don't buy skiffs because they don't make your action better. Your action is usually controlled by your detent bar on your lock bar, but you get a lot more balls. The washers are like less than $7 and the bearings are less than 13. But this little cheat sheet, this is aluminum, and it allows you to take your bearings out of whatever knife you've got, check your pivot thickness and or your pivot diameter and your bearing thickness. And if it's not on the compatibility chart, it's easy to find. And I fixed my Veritas because it was wrong on the compatibility chart. They were too thick. But I really enjoy him, and I like supporting Steve because he started making bearings just for his dad's skiff knives. And if you look at how they're made, I've never tried Salt and Peppas. I know Lefty used to do some reviews on them, but I think skiffs are very highly precision made. He was showing a machine that was pressing the ceramic bearings into the cutout washers, and it was pretty impressive. Knife nut, and to me, what I've noticed, and I can show you, except I don't think I have any stock bearings. So, for example, when I take out my Hinderer bearings, because they come on bearings, they come with washers and nylon washers, but I always switch out my Hinderers with skiffs because Hinderers come with steel bearings. Nothing wrong with that. I know they're not quite as smooth as ceramic, but they're metal cage bearings with them stamped out, and they've got 9 balls around the circumference. When I buy that same skiff, it's got 13 balls if it's a single row, which these are on the Hinderers. So when you look at them side by side, not only is it a solid washer, but you've got more contact area with the blade, which again, I'm not an engineer, but my English psychology brain tells me if you've got more balanced contact between the blade and the scale, because you've got more surface area contacting them with those additional bearings, it's by nature going to be less wobbly or less likely to in between the close, like where a lot of your knives will feel like they've got a little shift when you're taking them down like this. They might feel, especially on bearings, that they've got a little wonkiness. Skiffs minimize that because you do have, find the ones I took out of the here are the ones I took out of the if I could find the son of a bitches. These came out of the McNeese, and these are little 3/16, but they have they have 13 bearings where if I look at the bearings that came out of the McNeese, they probably had 9 to 11 max, which just means they're not placed as tightly together, which again, to me, as a liberal arts, no science background, just shows me a little less surface area in contact between the blade and the scale, which is why the washers that are at such a high tolerance, I mean, literally I had to pinch that McNeese back together. There is no play. I mean, they're absolutely flush on the scales and they feel great. Because the washers, when they get broken in, they are every bit as smooth as a bearing, and you don't have any side to side play. Can you not get Shiro scale or can you not get Shiro bearings from Skiff? I don't think I've seen them on there. Let's see, because I think they're handmade. They're needle bearings, aren't they? Sparrow knife Strix, 6 millimeter by 1/16. No, I don't see any Shiro. Nope, nope, nope. Ooh, quiet carry IQ. I could put washers in there, and I could also put washers in my drift or my 9. But yeah, guys, I was gonna guys, it looked like y'all had some awesome breakfast places. That's what I missed about last year and the year before. Because on Saturday when I bumped into Stevie, it was right after lunch, and he'd just gotten down there. And that's what we did last year, Saturday. Friday we went early. We were worn out by mid-afternoon. We went back to the cabin where we were staying. And then we came in late Saturday, like about 1 o'clock, so that we'd have energy for the evening. I'll tell you, he's a huge knife collector. Is Aquaman? What's his name? Jason. What's Aquaman's name? He's a huge knife it. And you know, the McNeese Mac 2.5 or Mac 2 3.5 had the strongest use test MagnaCut blade I read somewhere. They are great, and they're made in my home state of Alabama, which is a win. Yeah, Jason Momoa. Thank you, Rob Ten Ring. I watched a thing on, it was just a random thing on YouTube where he had a couple of knives come in, and I knew the type of knives they were. They were customs, and he was like a kid in a candy store. He also loves guitars, but I just love seeing somebody who doesn't take themselves serious and gets excited about shit like that. Oh, they're a nightmare. And it would seem like, what's the advantage? I'll tell you something I saw really cool. Have y'all noticed how they do the bearings on those Chapman Lake knives? How they've got 3 bearings. They've got a bearing on each side, and they've got a bearing in the pivot. Let me pull it up. Chapman Lake knives. Where was that picture? Right here. Let me share this. So this is one of the reasons, and again, these guys were not knife makers. They were surgical tool makers. So they kind of reinvented the wheel. But this is the blade. If y'all can see that. Is that sharing? Let me get back over there. Yep. Okay. So that is the blade. These are the needle bearings. They're contained, but they're needle bearings that ride on each side of the blade. And this little ball bearing, skateboard looking bearing rides in the center. So the pivot goes through that. And then you've got bearings on each side. Button lock, super smooth. I mean, next level smooth. Because it's running on 3 ball bearings. It's got the bearings in the pivot around the pivot, and the bearings on each side like a traditional knife. I'm not crazy about the look, but they are partnering with our brother Lefty EDC to do the US made growler, which is exciting to me. See, here's the blade and the scales. Can y'all see that? Did that take it over with you? Yeah. So that shows the small bearing that's kind of like a skateboard bearing where this turns right here, the center part, and then you've got your needle bearings on each side, which makes it exceptionally smooth. And let me show you what else I saw cool before we get out of here, because I'm sharing is caring. So I met Brian Winters and his wife, delightful people. And they had some amazing knives at Blade. This is one of their new models. It's got a little bit different lock on it. And then they had this knife, which is out the front, which has this little lightsaber thing. It's got a tritium vial that you can put in it, but you just pull back on that little guard, push forward on the guard, and it opens, pull back, and it closes. And then the other thing they had that was super cool was one of these, not that one. Oh, yeah. They're going to show you their lock. And I think this is an automatic. I think this knife is a double action automatic. And they're showing here, there's theirs. See how it's so low profile? It's not an automatic. So you can use this, you can use little Axis style things, or you can use that little Schnexy type thing that operates the same thing. And that's not the automatic. The automatic that I handled, that's not it. He is such a mad scientist. That's it. No. The automatic is a double action out the side automatic, which is sick. And then he makes all these little just tools that, you know, none of this was at Blade Show, but this is what he does in the lab. Just totally weird stuff. Look at that. I mean, innovation out the yin yang. What would you do with that? I don't know. But it's cool. I wanted to find that out the side double action. That's not it either. Well, they had an automatic and they kept telling me, be careful because it'll shut on your hand if you hold it like that. And I'm like, I'm not going to shut it on my hand. You ignorant woman. Trust me. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? I would think they would have, since they just had it at Blade Show, that they would have, this is it right here. So this is a double action out the side automatic. You pull back on the blade, it opens it. You push forward, it closes it. Watch this. It's called the M-Fire. It's got that same slicey blade, makes that same ting. Got a little lock on the side, which I don't really care for. Open it up, Goob. Okay, they're not showing it. It's a magnetically detinted, spring activated, dual action automatic. That's not doing it any justice. So I'm going to have to try. That's not it. Hold on. All right, guys, that's a fail. That's a hard fail on my part. They are just not sharing. I mean, that's it. Nope. It's got that little, like, side switch going on instead of the little bar. And we're not going to get to see it. But they had all kinds of out the fronts. Maybe that's it. Nope. And Best Tech's still OEMing for them and absolutely killing it. All right, I'm getting off of here. It's a waste of my time. Why wouldn't they show it open and close? Because that's what was so neat of it. Because you rarely see a out the side that closes up as nicely as it opens to overcome that spring. And I'm not seeing any older versions of it, which suck. All right, we're getting out of here. We're getting out of here, and we'll say our love and peace. I just wanted to show y'all something cool, and I failed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to fail on you guys. They are a great value, Tori, for what they are. I want to say they're under $500. I could be wrong. The CO2 dart shooter is my number one thing that I've seen on his page. You're talking about a little thing that looks like a cigarette pack, and he turns it up and he shoots that brass dart through the Coke can and into the wall. Love it. Rob, he collects all kinds. Let me do this. Let me go Jason Momoa, all customs, and I think some Chavez knife collection. And he's active in a lot of groups from what I hear. So this is probably going to be mainly movie props. So we're not going to pay attention to these as much. I'll try to find some of the stuff from where he's at his house. Let's see. These aren't like his collection. Hold on. He's got a amazing collection. I mean, all you can see is when he puts them in the cases. So let's go back here. Let's go to all. Get out of the pictures. Let's see if we can find an article. Celebrities who collect knives. Jason Momoa has a few excellent custom knives. Blah, blah, blah. This is a repost. It's going to take us to TikTok, which will probably get us banned. That's not Jason Momoa. See, I don't even know how to work TikTok. Screw this. Fuck off. I could not even get her to go away. TikTok is evil. All right, let's find. Very cool. Absolutely easy. Blah, blah, blah. $6,000 to $8,000 each. The look on his face when he opens them is true. Yeah, that's what I want to find is one of the movies or the videos where he's opening one that came in when he's getting his mail call. Let's go back here. That's just nobody cares about that. Let's see. All right, here we go. This might be good. Yeah, this is what he's doing, his unboxing.
This is kind of super interesting. It's from Israel.
And he gets so excited.
This gentleman I met, Amor Natty, through other mutual friends, fellow knife makers, saw his work, and he's got like a waiting list that's insane. And I had these made for Fast 10. I hope they go through. And it's made out of, I really fell in love with Westinghouse. And so Neil really turned me on to like the Westinghouse stuff. So another buddy made this one. No shear knives. So OESEER. Anyway, so I fell in love with that kind of Westinghouse, and this one's called Sabotage, bro. If you see this, all right? Sabotage. This will be for Fast. Oh, damn, bro. It's all Westinghouse, antique ivory. Oh, Look at that.
Look at his excitement.
Holy shit.
And that dude's got everything he wants, but that knife's just
So I wanted
jacking
some
him
knives to
up.
fight with. I've never fought with like the flip blade. So I want to be like, clack. So, anyways, that's awesome.
Right in his
And then
pocket.
here's the opiate. Oh, yeah, these are fantastic. Yeah.
Just throwing the boxes. The opiate, guys,
That's the opiate.
with Damasteel. In my car, the Westinghouse in my car.
There it is.
2
That's
customs.
so sharp. I mean, that's surgical. Yeah. Boy, look at those, buddy. I just had like a little one made for me that. So I have to make a couple more where they're going to be dull, so I can fight with them. But be fun. All right, fast 10. Here we come.
Boys will be boys, guys. Tell me that's not cool. Rob, it was awesome seeing you, buddy. I wish we could have seen each other a little bit longer, but it was great seeing your wife, and congratulations, buddy. Rocky, how are you, buddy? I got to see Rocky for a little bit. Barry, be safe, my friend. The TS301 is so good. I hope you like it, dude. But yeah, Jason Momoa is the real deal. I'll tell you who else is Keanu. And Keanu is probably one of the kindest, let's see, probably one of the kindest Hollywood dudes. Let's go to Keanu. Because he's big into microtext and shit like that. Where is he? Let's find him with a knife. That's a fan page. That's not going to do it for me. But he is very, very low key. He doesn't drive a freaking car. He takes public transportation, which is kind of nuts. We're never going to find Keanu in here. He's probably not on Instagram. So screw that. But there are a lot of knife. Joe Rogan is kind of a Benchmade guy, but he has all the collector's class, knife collecting actors. Sylvester Stallone, Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie. Who would have known that Angelina Jolie was a huge knife collector? Angelina Jolie, when we looked at Will and actually, since childhood, Jolie has been collecting them for many years. She has a predilection for butterfly knives. That makes sense. Nicolas Cage. Giving Canyon. In addition, Cage has a large number of knives from local knife makers. A few years ago, the story went around that I had to pay $2,000 for a knife. That's not, we all know how that goes. Blah. But yeah, so knives they cross all economic boundaries. And what I love is seeing somebody like Jason Momoa, who probably has really whatever he wants, get so excited about 2 custom knives that probably cost him 8-9 grand, maybe 10. But for him, that's like us buying a Benchmade, maybe even a CJRB. I don't know how it relates in what his Hollywood clout / earning potential is, but I think he's got a good reputation and still gets a lot of roles as Hollywood dies. That's very funny. Joe is one of the few who can still afford a Benchmade. a lot of people were at their booth, and I went with Dark Gravity, and y'all know Dark Gravity. If y'all don't, hopefully you'll get to meet him. Fantastic guy, has been in the knife world forever, is in the steel business, has a heat treating certificate. Brilliant. But he points out that Benchmade is not a knife community brand. They make knives that the knife community, it gets their attention, but Benchmade sells so many knives through the government, through the PXs, and they don't have to necessarily listen because their scale of operation is almost too big, which is sad because I like some of my Benchmades, but I don't seek out Benchmades anymore. $300 for a Benchmade, which is now kind of a mediocre price Benchmade, just seems a little crazy. Comparing them to Spyderco's, comparing them to Hinderers. And I know some people hate Hinderers, but when you look at a Hinderer in titanium and 20 CV for, this would be 425 if it had G10, so it's 625 with the scale. And you look at, put a G10 scale on it, and you look at this and a $500 Benchmade or a $450 Benchmade. To me, there's just no comparison. The Hidden Canyon Hunter is great, Miranda, and Benchmade makes great knives. Another knife I like is the one they came out with a couple of years ago, that little short bladed fixed blade that had the little G10 handle on it. I forget what it was called, but they make some nice knives. One of my favorite is this old First Production Mini Locos. I bought this brand new at St. Nick's Knives in 20 CV, G10, one of the beefiest Benchmades in blade steel. Got a deployment hole for $158. And that was 3 years ago. And this knife now, if it wasn't discontinued, would probably be $275. I'm guessing. Rob, is that how much you spent at Blade Show, buddy? I'm kind of joking. And they are the best knives to mod, Paul. I've got most every one of my, well, that's Spyderco. But both my bug outs and my Adamas. What are the Benchmade that I mod? That's a great mod there. My mini Adamas with my AWT scales. Hey, Rob, do you have a affiliate with AWT? I know you do with Rock Scale and OG. I just didn't know if people reach out to AWT. This knife is cut my pinky worse than any other knife. I was tightening the, trying to get the pivot adjusted, and I had it like this, and my pinky happened to be here. And just the weight of this blade falling on my pinky, I was like, thank God it hit my nail. And by the time I looked down, it had cut all the way through my nail, about halfway through my finger. And so what I did is I wrapped it up, and then I put a whole bunch of that liquid skin on it. So for like a week, when I was doing my flipping videos, I had this yellow, blood-soaked, pustule-looking thing, which was just all this plastic, liquid plastic, holding my severed finger together. And when the plastic shit fell off, my finger didn't even have a scar. But I got so many nasty comments about, dude, what is wrong with your finger? Because I always do flipping videos. And that was brutal. I think I was pretty close to picking up my fingertip off the ground. But Todd, I've noticed that they do sharpen up well. I stopped by and said hey to RGT, and I've got a lot of their scales. I've used a lot of their scales in the past. I think rock scale for me are probably the best. I love OG scales, but the ones I've gotten lately have been slick. When they first started, I got a few aluminum sets that weren't slick. Not fly out of my hand slick, but it just seems like they could tweak their tooling a little bit. Paul, I think it's tomato, tomato. I spell it MOD. Josh, you would not believe the trolls. And for me, most of my channel growth comes from posting a lot of shorts, because every now and then I'll have a short get a shitload of views. But you get the worst comments. And you guys know I'm really bad about reading my comments, but people are just out there. There's just a whole bunch of people who are out there to say nasty stuff, and you just can't let it get to you. Anytime you put yourself out there, whether it's your bloodied up finger. I mean, I used to post videos from the office where I'd be walking down the hall, totally dark, not dark, but an empty hallway from the bathroom to my office door. And I'd do a 15-second short flipping a knife. And I guess a lot of these comments came from Europe, but people were like, I would never work with you. You're a madman. And I'm like, no, I'm opening and closing a tool. But I guess for people who aren't, that's not everybody gets it, right? Especially other countries. And that's where our reach goes. Michael, I will reach out to them and see if there's any way, because I always I don't look for affiliate links. I always see if there's a way that I can just get a 5 or 10% discount for people who use them. But I don't know if they work with, let me pull them up. I don't know if they work with YouTubers. Some do. A lot of knife companies do, because they can't advertise on other digital media. They're banned. They're a Google prohibited category. That's why you see people like Jack Wolf, like Devo, like a lot of these companies that use either the social media of the retailer, or they use influencers, if you want to call them that, YouTubers, or people like Melissa Backwoods, who you reach out to her through her management, and she will you have to pay for a review, right? She's got prices based on, and she's just basically doing commercials, right? Yeah, it doesn't look like AWT has much information for people who aren't buying shit, because usually you can find out. We can do this. You want to see something funny? Why is it going to Outlook? I've got a little form letter that I let I can tell you all the secret. I let Chat GPT write for me. Watch this. And I went in and changed it, because I know how Chat GPT. Let's do this. Sent. Go here. Let's copy this. Whoops, wrong button. It's AWT Technologies, isn't it? Applied Weapons Technologies. We'll use their full name because we're going to copy it. And it is singular, right? Applied Weapons Technologies. Oh, it's plural. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to copy that because we're going to have to replace that quite a bit. Well, we can't copy that yet. First, we got to go copy all of that. And then we're not going to copy. We're going to copy that. Let's see this. All right, so now I just got to go up here, take out that. Change that. Act like I'm at Blade Show. Following AWT. Have a set for my mini Adamas and greatly admire your shit. High quality, innovative scales. The craftsmanship and attention to detail that AWT known for blah, blah, blah. I'm writing where AWT scales. I'm sorry, guys. I'm hyper focused and I hate it. I'm almost done though. Full assemblies and scale installs. All right, copy. Night Demon Knock. I think if you've got a bad knife or a knife that's got problems, if you reach out to the person who sent it to you, they will typically take your input and they will typically let you review it. And then being a good person, knowing that they're aware of it, depending on how they respond to it, which most of the companies I work with them because they're good people. They're going to do the right thing. And you don't want to do, I don't. Some people know that they can get clicks that way, but I don't want to hurt a company because negative reviews sell. They get clicks. So I think if you work with companies fairly, you don't have to sugarcoat anything. You can be, if there's a bad knife that's in the market, I have a responsibility to my audience, not to the people that are sending me knives. So, but if I reach out to that company and they're like, thank you so much. I'm glad you've got a prototype. We're going to fix it for you, blah, blah, blah. And we'll make sure that they get fixed before they go out. That's a different story. You know, I could see how somebody would hold a review till they got a working model. Blah, 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 blah. I'm almost done, guys. I'm sorry. Check disassembly videos. Grade. And I'm sorry I'm keeping y'all here so late tonight, guys. I just went really short Saturday night because JB was early. Website. Links to yours. Include links. Try not to be excessively wordy. All right, let's make sure I didn't leave Kaiser in there anywhere. I'm going to hit send. And I will let you guys know what AWT says. I think the Brian Brown collaboration with Civivi was one of the most impressive knives I've seen. For the price, for a $70 knife. Leaving comments on vids. I didn't see it, buddy. Let me find you, Todd. Oh, I agree. I think constructive criticism and shitting on a product are two different things. And I agree. And I think viewers and manufacturers appreciate that. As long as you treat it with respect, and if you know that they've agreed to make changes, you tell them about that. Jared does a good job about that. But then you guys know, and one of my best friends, Lefty, a long time ago, he doesn't do it as much anymore, but he would tear knives apart, you know, because he was very picky. He wasn't doing it for drama. He's just a very picky guy. And then when he started making knives, he learned a whole nother side to it. And he understood, I guess, the organic way, how if you're going to talk bad about a company, you might be affecting 30 people and their families. If it, you know, if you've got enough reach and a big enough platform, there is a stage of influence where you literally can make or break a company. And it's unfortunate, but at the same time, if they're credible, there's so many companies out there that deserve to be aggressively pursued because they're doing crappy stuff. But then when you're seeing knives from a lot of the same companies who have been supporters to the knife community, and they have a turd come out, you know, I would think it'd be best to work with the company and your audience to let them know that the knife's not up to par. These are the issues I found. These are the ones that they're able to correct. You know, and no company is going to be mad at you. If they are, and I know one company that I'm not going to name that gets mad at stuff like that, then nobody with any type of, exactly right. And I've seen smaller creators do it. I've seen smaller creators get nasty for reasons that have nothing to do with the knife they're reviewing. I know one instance of that, and it's happened a lot because, believe it or not, guys, I think the knife industry, exactly, Jeffrey, without being as corrupt as other industry, if you don't think there's cheating and corruption that goes on in the knife industry, I think we'd all be naive. I would think there's a lot of things that go on with some of the bigger influencers that are questionable at best. And I don't think it's the bigger influencers' fault, because I follow up a lot of what the big influencers outside of the knife industry do. And what they get caught up in the most are these crypto scams or these NFT scams where they're approached by an outside company. They don't know enough about it, but they leverage their audience and do some pretty horrible things, and they come off unscathed. So I think what will set anybody getting into the YouTube world, or people that have been successful for a long time, like MC, or somebody who's on their way like Rob, is to stay true to your beliefs, regardless of, don't let weird emails and weird people promising you things. You don't want to do YouTube. You can let YouTube become a legitimate business for you if you continue to take care of an audience and you continue to be credible. I believe that. And I do believe that people get tired of people after a while, and there's just a natural burnout where people aren't going to want to watch my content for probably 3 more years, 2 more years, who knows? But as long as I don't mislead anybody, which if I mislead somebody, I'm misleading myself, because I'm going off of what I really think. And I've come back and made some corrections on knives when I do some long-term reviews. Some knives I didn't like right off the bat, I come back and I like a little better. Some knives I find issues with. Some knives I had like a Vosteed raccoon where the button lock failed. So I filmed a video taking it apart and just finding a way to put it back together and fix it. Steven, congratulations. I played with one. They were one of the most busy booths, and I was so happy for Tim and Suzanne and their team. Hopefully they're going to join me Friday night very soon. They're an hour later, and they do go to bed earlier, but we've been talking about it for quite a while. And see, I feel, yeah, MC will just push it off to the side, and I can respect that to some extent, because MC, I know how long it takes him to review a knife. I remember when the Jets, was it the not the Jetstream? What was Casey's first knife? I remember that Metal Complex had one, and he did not review it till after the Kickstarter was over, and he felt terrible about it. But I really think he probably receives a box of knives a day. I think he gets a lot of stuff in, and I think that's probably taxing. Granted, it'd be a great problem to have, but I don't think he can give every knife that comes in the same amount of attention, because if he did, it wouldn't be realistic. Because if he does an unboxing and says, I probably won't do a full video on this, it's interesting, but it's not something I really want to promote, I find that credible. Even though I have a lot of problems with things that he does, injecting himself into Discord that doesn't involve him, for example, playing a gatekeeper. I'll leave it at that. But I think he's able to be a big influencer and at least appear on the surface like a knife guy who's very credible. And I appreciate that. I'm not a huge fan of this content, but I do watch it. I do think there's a lot to be learned from him and how he does content. I've always found it that Metal Complex is not a smoke and mirrors guy. He does kind of simple lives. You know, he's got a nice camera, nice setup, but he's not trying to do a lot of edits, a lot of crazy things, which is encouraging to me who doesn't know how to do that, nor do I have time to do that. But again, I think it all goes with how and what people's styles are. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it, as long as you're credible, as long as what you do and say you believe. And for me, it's been easy because, with the exception of a few knives from Vosteed and a couple of knives from TKL, I bought everything I review. And I bought it from YouTube videos typically. But even if I didn't, I couldn't say something's good that doesn't excite me, because I just can't fake that. I mean, fixed blades are hard for me to unbox because there's so little initial information I can get from one, except the size and how it fits on my body, how it feels in my hand. But it limits how you can feel a video with content that's not going to be just totally boring. And what's ironic is my fixed blade videos that are harder for me to make because I don't have as much to talk about them about get 10 times at least the views of any folding knife I do. And that's the most popular search term on YouTube, EDC fixed blade. Who knew? If you go to YouTube Studio and let's go back here. Where'd it go? Let's go here. Here. So they've got this little area in analytics that you can go to inspiration. So this shows you, so if you start typing here, like if I start typing knife, it's going to auto-populate some of the top search terms: knife sharpening, knife making, knife Rockwell. If I go knife review, but then if you want to look at just what the top searches are, fixed blade knives, best small fixed, EDC fixed blade knife, best folding knife. So you can go in here and you can look at keywords that tell you what people on YouTube are looking for. What shorts are, I mean, it's a lot of information that does nothing for me except kind of confuses my thought process. Because I'm one of the weird people who think about what my video is going to be. I'm going to do a video tonight on my axons, the difference in a fixed blade and a folder, and which makes more sense as an EDC. Whoops, let's pull that out. Which makes more sense as an EDC. Whoops. Okay. But then the important part is I've got to make a thumbnail, which I'm not good at, that make people want to click it and come up with a title that is searchable, right? Are y'all hearing music? Is the music still on? Or are you talking about MC's music? I try to keep the music to a low. Yeah, the 8-bit is tough. Rumble's interesting. Yeah, I usually don't put it on, but every now and then I'll try to find something kind of quiet, kind of different, kind of ambient. But absolutely. Josh, you can throw a link up there. Let me see if I can find it. Work life. Whoops. But y'all go find work life balance. Find Tony Boombots. I'm gonna throw his up there again. And then wow, we've been going almost 4 hours. Yeah, the 8-bit video game music. And what's funny, guys, is I have got, and I almost did it as a joke, because my Friday Night Flicks come on after MC. And I can tell from the comments that everybody kind of gets mad in there. Not mad, but it drives them crazy. So I use this software that I pay for to get my my sound effects and my music. So I can go 8-bit. Check this shit out. Is that not horrible? But evidently there are a lot of people into this. And to me, it's absolutely horrible. But yeah, no 16 or 8-bit music will ever be here. And I will try, because I'm supposed to be getting a whole bunch of new sound effects, a whole new like Hollywood sound effects library as part of this subscription. This was not a cheap subscription, and I didn't know what I was getting into because I thought it was monthly, but they charged me all at once. But I mean, right now you can go in and get the weirdest, stupid effects. I mean, nobody wants that. But they're evidently coming out with a lot more in the next week or so. So maybe we'll get some funny stuff, because I want to come up with some good stuff. And I really like having the ability to, when something happens, to be able to explode it. But guys, it is getting late. I hate 8-bit. I hate it, hate it, hate it. All right, well, I'm going to go to the actual video. Hold on. So, is it a recent one? Is it the one where he's sitting talking? Josh? Is it this one right here? Let me share. Let me share this. Is it the top left one? His latest. Okay. So I'm going to link this for you guys, and I will check it out after the stream. But this is work knife balances. I'm going to drop it in the regular chat and pin it so y'all can go start watching it, so it'll be in your history. 10. Guys, everybody have a fantastic week. All I ask, we're going to have Friday Night Flicks, and I will come up with a subscriber giveaway. But I think this week, because I think it's a cooler knife, the Veratus is going to go out, but I'm going to give away the Miguron Flicks. Just a winner of a knife. You can flick it with the middle finger, or you've got the flipper tab. Got a nice satin finish, M390, carbon fiber. Great clip. I've got the box. Whoops. It'll make somebody a good knife. I pinned the wrong comment. That doesn't surprise me. Hold on. So is it this one's different? 5 hours ago? Yep. All right. Share. Copy. Let me drop it in. All right. So that's right. So let me now drop it here. I just dropped it in my browser to make sure it was right. Paste. Replace. Let me kill this poll. In poll. All right. Y'all check that one and tell me if it's right. 5-door, have a great. Yeah, I did. I went to his page and yeah, you guys can go to his page, but that should be the link. It takes me there. If this is the video, this is where that link takes me.
If you're not in for all the feels, it's probably.
But I do want to watch it. But guys, I'm so appreciative that y'all came out and that y'all stayed so late. I didn't know we'd be so late, but I think having MPG was really cool. Hey, Tom. Good to see you, buddy. Todd, is the comment right now? Because it seems like it's going to mine. I hope I did. But guys, look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. We will be here Friday night. I have a giveaway or two. I won't publicize it because I just want you guys to be the ones to get a chance to get it. I don't want extra people coming to try to win it. We just play it that way, play it on the down low. But I do love each and every one of you. I appreciate you. Have a great week. Reach out if you need anything. And there's a good chance I will do, at some point, a weird Insomniacs live this week. It's possible. But guys, look out for the guy or gal to your left. Look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart. And always, always choose debate, not hate. I love y'all. Peace.